Chapter 468 Fire God's Token. Dubai is one of the richest countries in Asia. In fact, it's one of the richer countries, even when compared to the entire world. The Sail Ship Hotel in Dubai is the #1 hotel in Dubai. Moreover, Dubai has the world's tallest building and other notable structures. Dubai was an emirate and was famous within Asia. Wang Xian was on the plane towards Dubai. Around him, those who were heading to Dubai for holidays were all relatively rich people. Although Dubai was famous, the cost was also very high. It wasn't the first choice of tourism for ordinary families. When he walked out of the international airport, Wang Xian looked around him. It was indeed deserving of the name of an extravagant country. The fire god's graveyard is on a volcano island in the vicinity. It should be easy to find an island with a volcano. Wang Xian recalled the place Sui Huang had described to him. After walking out of the airport, he hailed a cab and asked the driver, "Where's the island with a volcano?" Luckily, Wang Xian's command of the English language was still passable, and he wasn't facing problems in conversing. Fire Spirit Island? You are going to the Fire Spirit Island too? There's quite a number of people who are heading there today. The driver was a local and was looking at Wang Xian inquisitively. Yeah, I'm going to the Fire Spirit Island to look for a friend. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head as he made up a reason casually. It's a little far from here, and it would be an hour journey, the driver explained as he drove Wang Xian towards the Fire Spirit Island. The Fire Spirit Island is about 7 to 8 kilometers away from the mainland. From afar, one could see the white smoke fuming from the volcano. Because of the white smoke throughout the year and the occasional flames, the Fire Spirit Island could also be considered a scenic spot in Dubai. The beach in Dubai was extremely beautiful. The water was so clear that one could see the bottom of the sea. Directly opposite the Fire Spirit Island was a place for tea and snacks. At this moment, the place was already filled with people. Over 4,000 to 5,000 people were densely packed in the area. There are at most 1,000 people here, typically. I'm not sure why there are so many people here today, the driver mumbled. After paying the cab fare, Wang Xian alighted from the car. Looking across, the entire beach was filled with people. From them, Wang Xian could feel immense energy. There are quite a number of inborn experts among the few thousand people here. Wang Xian stood on the pathway and looked down in shock. There are people from 8 different denominations here. It's impossible for Nether Flame to occupy the place for themselves. Dubai has also made an announcement that the Fire God's graveyard is within their territory. If one wishes to enter, he has to pay 100 million first. Otherwise, they can forget about entering. Dubai is really smart in this. They knew that it would be impossible for them to obtain the treasures inside. Therefore, they could only use this method to get something out of it. The other 8 denominations have no other options either. If they really press Dubai too hard, a strategic warhead might be sent here. At that time, no one could even wish to obtain the treasures. It's getting interesting now. Whoever can pay the sum is allowed in. The people from the 8 denominations didn't seem to have much to say about it either. The entire Fire God's graveyard is exceptionally huge. Moreover, dangers lurk in all corners. It spans several tens of kilometers, and rumor has it that the Nether Flame has lost a good number of experts. It's a Fire God's graveyard after all, and the residence of an elite expert. Fire God Hephaestus was most known for his equipment refining and his fire demons. The place is likely to be filled with countless fire demons. The 8 denominations are probably afraid of suffering grave losses, and thus don't dare to enter recklessly. Therefore, they have only sent a small number of people to scout the place. When Wang Xian got closer and heard the conversation of the crowd, he was slightly surprised. The news of the Fire God's graveyard had been leaked by Sui Huang. He thought this place would be controlled by various powerful forces. However, it wasn't the case. Dubai is recruiting guards above level 9 martial artists. The 100 million entry fee would be exempted. One is allowed to keep half of the treasures obtained. There are currently 50 people who have joined. Wang Xian walked deeper in and was shocked by an eye-catching sign. Dubai is really smart to recruit guards. Whatever treasures the guards get from the graveyard, they will also receive half of them. Wang Xian chuckled. He realized that there were several forces recruiting guards like these. However, they didn't have the same credit rating as Dubai. As such, they could only promise spiritual stones or money directly. There were even some who were looking for teammates to explore the place together and to help each other out. To sum it up, the place was completely different from what Wang Xian had envisioned. The fire god's graveyard was like a treasured place that required exploration. Wang Xian looked towards the fire spirit volcano curiously. The entrances to the fire god's graveyard have been sealed. If I want to enter, I can only go by the main entrance. In that case, I have to pay 100 million. Wang Xian's eyebrows knitted together. Changing the currency from his country to Dubai's currency, he would have to pay $170 to $180 million. This wasn't a small sum. However, if he could obtain treasures from the fire god's graveyard, this sum would just be peanuts. Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and headed towards a room at the side. Those who wish to enter the fire god's graveyard have to present a token of authority, which can be purchased with money. Just as he stepped into the area, a service attendant explained this to Wang Xian. "Give me one." Wang Xian said immediately. In the Outstanding Young Heroes competition, previously, the Dragon Sect had occupied all the spots. As such, all the rewards had gone to him. He received over 90 billion in cash. The only thing Wang Xian wasn't lacking now was cash. "All right, this is for you. We are not responsible for any lost tokens." The service attendant threw a token of authority towards him and spoke plainly. The token of authority was the size of a palm with the words, "Fire God's Token" written on it. Wang Xian walked out and flipped the token in his hand. Puff! At this moment, a hand grabbed towards the token of authority. Wang Xian was taken aback. He immediately moved aside and dodged the hand. At the same time, he looked before him. 4 thievish-looking people appeared before him. All of them had small beards and had samurai swords hung around their waist. All of them were staring greedily at the token of authority in Wang Xian's hand. "Japanese?" Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and stared coldly at the 4 of them. "Brat, we are just missing a token of authority. Give us the token of authority in your hand." The old man in the middle played with his beard as the other 3 surrounded Wang Xian. "Another fight. Just let them fight. The more that die, the merrier. That kid is really dumb to purchase a token of authority alone. Although 100 million isn't much, it's still substantial for a martial artist. It's a common occurrence for the weak to be robbed. This is already the 3rd case today. 3 people were killed in the previous incident. Those 3 are martial artists from Team Luchuan. That's not entirely right. In their countries, they are referred to as ninjas. The kid didn't know the importance of hiding after purchasing a token of authority. It's clear that he's inexperienced. Just count this as a lesson." The surrounding crowd looked on with faint smiles, as they were already familiar with such developments. No one attempted to intervene. In fact, some were even regretting not making a move earlier. Chapter 469. Team Up. "Can you rob and kill anyone over here?" asked Wang Xian to the old man with an English mustache as he surveyed the spectating crowd with an arching of his lips. "Lad, you're really inexperienced. Hand over that token to me, and I'll spare your life. Otherwise, a new body will be found on the ground." The old man with an English mustache grinned with a bloodthirsty look. Wang Xian chuckled and nodded his head slowly. "I got it." As his voice trailed off, he lunged with a swift attack at that old man. The 4 old Japanese men froze for a moment. Bastard water attack. That old man raged as he pulled out his samurai sword from his belt. He wielded it at Wang Xian with a movement that flowed smoothly like water. Trash! Slay! Wang Xian exhibited a disdainful look in his eyes as he swung his arm and struck at the old man with an aqua blade condensed in his hand. Bastard, you're courting your own doom. Murderous intent filled the eyes of the old man as soon as he saw Wang Xian condensing an aqua blade at his will, striking at him with a similar movement. His hands accelerated. The speed of a ninja is considered to be top-notch at the international level. One must not be careless when battling with a ninja. This young man is just too insolent. Must be disciples from some clans or forces. Kinda stupid. The surrounding crowd watched with a teasing look. Another 5 young men and ladies in unique attire walked out of the room. With one look, anyone could tell that they were the natives from Dubai. The 5 of them revealed a faint smile as they watched the scene unfolding before them. Bam! As soon as the long blade formed by water hit against the samurai sword, the aqua blade broke in half. There was a sneer in that old man's eyes. Let me cut your abdomen up. Shoo! Just when the voice of the old man trailed off, the broken piece of the aqua blade pointed at the old man directly. What? That old man was stunned as he raised his samurai sword for a block. Pow! Yet his hands were numbed immediately. To his horror, he realized his arms were wrapped by the water current. Poof! During that brief stun moment, the aqua blade pierced the old man's body. Wang Xian exhibited a trace of ridicule as he raised his arm, hurling numerous tangible aqua blades at the remaining 3 Japanese. Poof! How dare people like you vie for that token of authority? Wang Xian tossed that token in the air with a scornful look on his face. Bam, 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 bam. For bodies fell to the ground. What great strength! That old Japanese man is an inborn expert. He actually got killed within a stroke. Our bad. None of us expected that young man to be an inborn expert. Hee, they finally met their match this time. They succeeded with the previous trio, but now Team Luchuan has met their end here. Everyone around them was appalled as they stared at Wang Xian with surprise. A young man who killed 1 inborn expert and 3 half-step to inborn experts caught them by a real surprise. It seems like the crowd was not too impressed by this. Indeed, there's a clear gap between the underworld and the international arena. Wang Xian observed the reactions around him and arched his eyebrows as he prepared to head for the Fire Spirit Island. Buddy, hold on. At this time, a sudden voice was heard. Wang Xian paused and spun around when he saw 5 young people walking towards him. Wang Xian checked them out and asked, "Anything for me?" "Are you from Korea?" The young man in the center fixed his eyes on Wang Xian as he asked him with a beaming face. "No, I'm from China." Wang Xian raised his eyebrow. "What's up?" "Sorry, I didn't expect such a talented young man to be coming from the underworld of China." That young man apologized immediately with an apologetic hand gesture. However, his eyes were filled with more surprise. "Bro, are you alone? Don't get us wrong. We just want to head to the Fire God's graveyard with you." That young man reached out with an inviting gesture. "I'm alone, but I intended to go in myself." Wang Xian shook his head at them before he turned around and walked away. The 5 of them frowned slightly while the young man at the center hesitated. He called out again, "Bro, I think we can talk for a few minutes." "I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Just a few minutes will do." Wang Xian paused as he whirled around and faced the 5 people. "This way, please." Seeing Wang Xian look back, that young man quickly pointed to a room. With slight hesitation, Wang Xian looked at the building, which he had bought his token from just now. Apparently, these 5 young people had some backings. "Sure." He nodded and followed them. The only reason that they invited him over must have been for the Fire God's graveyard. Even Wang Xian had to stay cautious when it came to the Fire God's graveyard. After all, To be known as a god in the international arena must have required one to possess a greater strength than him. Wang Xian was slightly far from being a godlike being. The dangers lurking in the fire god's graveyard could inflict him with severe injuries. He followed the 5 people to a room that looked extravagant. "Speak up, people. I want to know what you can come up with for me to join you guys," said Wang Xian to them with a smile. Out of the 5 of them, there was a girl who had a veil over her face. Only her beautiful, pink eyes, which looked a little queer, could be seen. "We have a general map of the fire god's graveyard. We can provide you with some weapons. All in all, it's much safer to go with us than by yourself. The chance of getting treasures is much higher too." The young man in the center continued to add on. Wang Xian lifted his eyebrow a little as he scanned the 5 of them briefly. "Honestly, all of you are somehow weak." All of them halted. There was a twisted expression on the face of that young man. "All of us are at inborn levels, and we have powerful weapons with us. 5 of us can manage even a half-step to Dan Realm Expert. With your participation, we have ways to explode our strength to half-step to Dan Realm level." "Oh, since all of you are so compelling, you guys can just kill me after that. I will be doomed if I follow you people," said Wang Xian impassively as he looked at them. "Don't worry, we can swear a blood oath and take some cursed beetles. If we defied our oaths, we would die immediately. What do you think?" asked the young man to Wang Xian, staring at him. "Sure, but it's up to individual strength after we enter." Wang Xian chuckled as he answered. "Sure." The 5 of them nodded without any comments. "Great, when are we setting off?" asked Wang Xian immediately. "In the wee hours of tonight. We'll enter at the coldest time, when the fire demon at Fire God's graveyard is deep in sleep," answered the young man. "Sure, we'll meet tonight over here. I'll take a stroll nearby." Wang Xian smiled and nodded as he headed outside. "Elder brother, this guy is super arrogant. He thinks he's good, but I don't feel he's reliable at all. Let's drop the idea of going there." The girl with a veil pleaded with the young man at the center as soon as Wang Xian departed. "He's not weak. Sigh, and we don't have other choices. Inborn experts with water attributes have their own forces. After we lost a Dan Realm expert, we almost wanted to give up. But now we should give it a shot. If we can find the holy water scripture and holy water, all these things will have been worth it." "Brother, I still think we shouldn't go," the girl pleaded. "For your sake, I must find the holy water." Chapter 470, Daughter. Dragon King, Prime Minister Turtle, and the rest have not been revived yet in the Dragon Palace. Evening. Wang Xian sat by an outdoor restaurant near the beach and was talking to Mo Qinglong over the phone. Wang Xian had sent Mo Qinglong to the Dragon Palace to teach the golden swordfish race to read and speak, and at the same time, to check if the rest had been revived. The time required to revive them had exceeded his expectations. With the powers of the Soul Returning Branch and Dragon Transformation Pool, it would still take more time before they could be revived. There aren't any treasures in the Dragon Palace currently. Let's hope that I can get some on this trip to the Fire God's graveyard. Sitting by the restaurant next to the beach, Wang Xian looked towards the clear seawater some distance away. Before him, there were tourists from various countries in sexy bikinis playing by the beach. In the sea, a yacht steered by and left behind a long trail of white waves. "Sister Lingling, you are so annoying. I want to go surfing. I want to go surfing." "Have you forgotten that you almost drowned the last time you went surfing? You can forget about it. Just sit here, drink your tea obediently, and enjoy the sun." "TSK. You. How? Wang Xian glanced over after hearing a conversation coming from his side. It was between 2 girls. One was a loli with 2 ponytails. Her clothes resembled those cosplay costumes, and she looked adorable in them. The other girl was wearing a white skirt. Both of them were chatting casually. Wang Xian looked over with eyes of admiration. When he noticed that the loli was staring at him, he felt a little embarrassed and turned around. "What's the matter, Xiaowan? You are finally at the age where you are interested in handsome guys?" The girl teased Xiaowan after seeing her staring at Wang Xian. "Sister Lingling, it's him. Look, it's him. He's that uncle." Suddenly, that loli pointed at Wang Xian and shouted, "Huh!" The girl by her side looked curiously towards Wang Xian. When Wang Xian heard the shouts of the loli, he also turned his head over. He raised an eyebrow and found them to be rather familiar. "He's the one who raced with us, the one that rode a heavy-duty motorcycle. It's him," the loli exclaimed. "Eh." The girl by the side pondered for a moment, turned her attention towards Wang Xian, and was struck by a sudden realization. "It's really him. You are that little brat." After the loli kicked up a ruckus, Wang Xian also recalled this little brat. He met her when he had just had the mysterious encounter. After winning a heavy-duty motorcycle from a guy, he encountered 3 sports cars. Those 2 girls were in one of the 3 sports cars. At that time, they raced and crashed into a big truck after they went into the opposite lane. This little brat had both legs broken on the spot, and that beautiful girl also suffered a huge blow to her chest. At that time, he had helped to heal them. Who would have expected he would meet them here after half a year? Wang Xian's lips curved up slightly. He looked to the little brat and found her a little more attractive as compared to half a year ago. "So my daughter is here." "Yeah. How are your injuries?" Wang Xian smiled, looked towards the slender legs of the loli, and teased her. He still could recall this little brat asking him to call her mom if he had lost. After the accident, Wang Xian made her call him dad, and this little brat did so while crying. The memories were still fresh in his mind. After all, she was the first daughter he had. "You rascal." Seeing how Wang Xian was teasing her, the loli instantly fumed. She gritted her teeth and stared at him. She could still remember clearly that when she was about to fall unconscious, this guy made her call him daddy. At the thought of this, she couldn't wait to eat him. "Xiaowan, don't be rude." The girl by the side pulled the loli by her arm and turned to Wang Xian. With a sincere voice, she thanked Wang Xian. "I'm really grateful for your treatment last time. We heard it from the doctor. If it wasn't for you, we would have been in trouble. However, I'm really sorry about it. Because of our family matters, we had come to Dubai for treatment and didn't have the opportunity to express our gratitude. We really did not expect to see you here." Wang Xian shook his head with a smile and answered, "It's all right. What a coincidence." "Yeah, what a coincidence," the girl chuckled. Soon she continued, "I'm Tang Lingling, and this little girl here is Mu Xiaowan. She's a little playful. My name is Wang Xian. Please take a seat." Wang Xian gestured for them to sit. Tang Lingling nodded her head, pulled Mu Xiaowan along, and sat down. "Are you here in Dubai for the holidays?" "Yeah. What about you guys?" Wang Xian nodded his head and asked the girls. "Our family has business here," answered Tang Lingling. "Do you know how to swim?" At this moment, Mu Xiaowan suddenly asked him this. Of course I know." Wang Xian looked at the little girl and answered with a smile. "Do you know anything about surfing then?" Mu Xiaowan's eyes beamed and she continued asking. "It is nothing to me." Wang Xian said heartily, "Why don't we go surfing? It's so boring staying here. Let's go, handsome uncle." Mu Xiaowan stood up instantly and continued, "To thank you for saving us the last time. For the next few days, the great Missy here can bring you around in Dubai. I'll cover your accommodation and meals. What do you think? I'm not interested in surfing today. All I wanted is to sit here and rest." Wang Xian said heartily, This won't do." Mu Xiaowan's jaw dropped. Seeing how Wang Xian was leaning against a chair lazily, she pouted, "When would you be interested in going surfing then?" "We will see again." Wang Xian found her hilarious and chuckled. "Mr. Wang, how many days will you be hanging around here?" Tang Lingling asked with a smile. "I'm not sure yet. It depends. In that case, we can be the host and bring you around Dubai. We have been here for half a year and know this place really well." All right. Let me treat you to a sumptuous meal. However, you have to bring me surfing. Are you okay with it?" Seeing people from his home country in a foreign land, Wang Xian chatted for close to 2 hours with the two girls. The little brat constantly begged Wang Xian to bring her to surf. Eventually, Wang Xian gave in and agreed to her request with a smile. At night, the little girl brought him to a seafood restaurant. At 9 p.m., they bade each other farewell. The beaches in Dubai were still well lit at night. It was especially so for the beach near the #1 hotel in the world. Looking at it from afar, it was breathtaking. Wang Xian lay below an umbrella on the beach and waited silently. At midnight, Wang Xian arrived at the seaside punctually. "Brother, this is a curse beetle that came from your underworld. After the 6 of us consume it, I believe you will feel more assured." The 5 people from Dubai had been waiting for him. As compared to the day, all 5 of them were now wearing capes and resembled those martial artists in China. All right. Wang Xian didn't ask them about their outfits, and the group consumed the curse beetle. Curse beetles originated from the underworld and were still widely used internationally. The promises and constraints between martial artists could be enforced using curse beetles. Those who went against the rules would suffer great consequences. Even inborn experts or even stronger existences had to follow the constraints. "Let's go." The 5 of them didn't speak much. They jumped onto a boat by the side and steered it towards the Fire Spirit Island. Chapter 471. Fire Demons. Fire God's Graveyard was situated at the top of an active fire spirit volcano. Nearing this area, one could feel the immense heat coming from there. 5 people stood at the deck of the vessel without a word. Wang Xian cast a look at them. Somehow, he felt that there was something queer about them. It was as though they were going in for the last fighting chance. 5 of them dressed in oversized clothes with a rain hat on them, and it was hard to distinguish the genders. But that did not bother Wang Xian. He joined the team to hunt for treasures and the fire-attributed art of cultivation. Since they had the map and experience, it would be a lot easier. "Who's there?" A loud cry was heard when the yacht arrived at the Fire Spirit Island. A dozen young men in local attire glared at them coldly. They had weapons that were not the usual firearms. The gun muzzle was about half a centimeter, which looked threatening. "We're going in." The 5 people tossed the tokens one by one, while a middle-aged man gestured as soon as he saw the tokens. "Let's go." The 5 of them called out to Wang Xian and leaped off to the ground. They went ahead with a clear sense of direction. One side of the island was well presented in front of them as soon as they arrived at the island. The ground was pitch black in color with terrifying magma rocks at the side. The temperature over here was at least 70 to 80 degrees. There was no way for ordinary people to stay here. This is... When Wang Xian came to the nearest volcano, he was taken aback by what he saw. There were 10 volcanoes on the entire Fire Spirit Island, and the streams of lava flowing through each of them were connected. On the mountain before them was written 3 blazing words: Fire God Palace. The words were burning, and thus looked extremely impressive. The entrance was 20 meters wide and 20 meters tall. Part of it had collapsed. 5 of them went ahead with a blue glow being exuded from their bodies to fend off the scorching heat. Wang Xian followed along until 9 huge entrances appeared before them. Before the entrance stood over 30 people in different attires, looking at the 9 separate entrances. Another few are here to die. A bunch of weak trashes are hoping to go in with a fancy dream about taking the fire god legacy. Several martial artists in white outfits with a black flame on them scoffed at Wang Xian and the gang coldly. "Let's go." As Wang Xian turned to them, the 5 people quickly instructed him and entered into one of the caves. The cave entrance was 5 meters wide. Upon their entering, the temperature shot up to 10 times higher to a temperature of at least 700 degrees. Martial artists below level 9 would definitely die if they entered this place. Don't provoke the other 8 forces. Otherwise, they can just kill you straight away. The Fire God's graveyard was the former Fire God Palace. The palace was divided into 9 halls with a main hall that spanned a 15-kilometer surface area. It was 2 times bigger than what the rumors said. Apart from this, the palace had 2 stories. One of the entrances will lead to the side hall and thereafter the main hall. Each side hall has treasures, but to date, none of the forces have ever made it to the main hall, not even the side ones either. The 5 young people removed their rain hats and tossed them aside. The rain hat immediately burst into flames, being reduced to ashes. They took off their oversized clothes, revealing pastel blue uniforms. On their uniforms, there were dots of glows. The only girl among them wore a pastel blue face veil. "Here." The young man in the middle handed something to Wang Xian. He received and took a look. "Her. Aquastar level 10. This is a precious item from our family. If we can leave this place, you have to return this to us. This is Aquastar, aka a hexastar." As the young man spoke, he took out another one as well. All 5 of them had 1 each. When the 6 of us stand in a hexagon, the water energy will be connected, and we can explode half-step to Dan realm strength. On top of that, if any one of us is in danger, this will allow us to support each other instantaneously. In the Fire God Palace, there are countless fire demons. These fire demons are similar to any ferocious beasts with a mighty strength. As a place for God, some existences are 1 level lower than him. Every side hall has 2 Dan realm fire demons. Oh, 2 Dan realms? If there are only 2 Dan realms, why couldn't those powerful forces enter till now? Asked Wang Xian with his eyebrow raised. Apart from the Dan realm fire demons, there are many, close to 80 inborn fire demons around. These fire demons could be comparable to Dan realm experts already. Besides, it is extremely difficult to exterminate the fire demons in the palace. Hence, 2 inborn experts are required to suppress 1 fire demon. After all, this is the Fire God Palace. Fire demons in here will have a huge boost to their strength. The young man explained to Wang Xian. "Has anyone taken any treasures from the Fire God Palace before?" asked Wang Xian, with his curiosity piqued. "Yes, this is a palace of the Fire God with many treasures in it. Someone even obtained spiritual flame ball, fire spiritual grass, and even heavenly flame before. As a result, this place attracted 8 supreme class forces from Asia within a day." The young man continued, "Later, we will have to depend on our own strength for the treasures. Of course, we can divide out those that are easily obtained. I have a map here that states the distribution of those fire demons. Follow us." "Sure." Wang Xian nodded, took the Aquastar and stood in his position. The rest of them also remained at their specific positions with that girl in the middle. Wang Xian injected the energy of the water dragon. At once, the Aquastars connected together. He could sense the ability to mobilize the compelling energies from the other 5 people. What an amazing Aquastar! It can allow an inborn expert to explode with half-step to Dan realm strength. Wang Xian pondered to himself. "Let's go and keep in the hexagon position, or else it will be ineffective." The young man beckoned to Wang Xian, and the group moved forward. These people are quite good. Wang Xian remained in the last position, where he did not have to deal with first-hand dangers. Be careful. It's the pool of lava ahead. There could be fire demons sprouting out from there. They continued forward where it got spacious at about 50 meters ahead. A space of about a 1-kilometer radius, which was 20 meters tall at the ceiling, emerged. Below that spot was rumbling lava that was bubbling with terrifying heat. Some rocks lined up as steps in the middle. Wang Xian noticed a fire demon bubbling out from the left of the lava pool. Its body was made up of lava rocks with a pair of pitch-black eyes, exuding a daunting temperature. Beside the fire demon was a fiery red lotus flower. That's the fire demon. This pool of lava should be the spiritual medicine garden with fire-attributed spiritual grass growing in it. That fiery red lotus flower is known as the flaming lotus, a level 5 spiritual grass. Chapter 472, Fire Crystal. Fire Demon, level 10. Flaming Lotus, level 5. Wang Xian was astonished to see the fire demon and flaming lotus in the tumbling lava. How deep is this pool of lava? Wang Xian looked at the pool of lava that appeared as bottomless as an abyss. From it, he could feel terrifying heat. He squinted his eyes and looked into the pool of lava. A red and blue glow flashed in his eyes, and the situation of the pool of lava appeared before his eyes. However, layer after layer of fire demons masked his vision and made it impossible for him to see the bottom. The 5 of them were shocked by what Wang Xian said. They shook their heads immediately and replied, "We don't know. No one has entered it before." An expert from the Fire God denomination entered into the pool of lava previously. However, he returned with severe injuries. As to what is inside, we have no idea at all. Let's continue our journey forward and get to the side hall as soon as possible, the young man continued and said to Wang Xian. Let's go. For now, let's fly over and avoid the fire demons below us. Once a fight is started, there will be more fire demons appearing. The young man reminded the group solemnly before taking flight. Wang Xian followed behind the group. Grr! Just as they entered the airspace of the pool of lava, that fire demon turned around and stared at them with his bright and black eyes. At the same time, he let out a growl. Be careful. If he moves, we have to kill it instantly. The young man at the front of the group was worried as he charged ahead rapidly. Grr! At this moment, the fire demon charged towards the girl in the middle. In the process, he brought waves of scorching hot lava with him. Kill! The young man at the front of the group was stunned. He activated the aqua stars and arrows were shot towards the fire demon. Boom! Countless water arrows shot through it and scattered the fire demon into countless pieces. Hurry! We've got to move. Fire demons are very sensitive to water attributes. The young man shouted loudly and charged towards the opposite shore. Blop! Blop! At this moment, bubbles were rising from the pool of lava. Several heads emerged from the pool one after another. Their heads were the size of a basketball, and they were staring at Wang Xian and the group with their clear and black eyes. Let's go! The 6 of them were unmoved. With their speed, they could definitely reach the opposite shore before the attacks of the fire demons reached them. Puff! However, a gust of hot wind blew towards them with sparks of fire. The group of youths were instantly shocked. Shit, that's flaming wind. We can't get there now. The young man was flabbergasted and shouted, Defend! Withstand the attacks of the flaming wind and the fire demons. Huh, there's wind blowing here. Wang Xian looked ahead of him and was shocked to see the strong gust of wind carrying sparks of fire. The color of the sparks was even darker than the lava. Boom! At this moment, the shape of a hexastar appeared around them and glowed in a blue light. Bam! 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 The sparks of the flaming wind fell on it, making clashing sounds. Below them, fire demon after fire demon raised their fists and attacked them. Hang in there. All we have to do is to hang in there till the flaming wind is gone. The young man shouted loudly once again. As he waved his arm, he retrieved the long sword that was hanging behind him and slashed down at the fire demon below him. There was a total of 18 fire demons, and everyone had the strength of an inborn expert. Bam, bam, bam. However, With the increment of the Aqua Stars, the battle strength of the 5 of them could reach the level of a half-step to Dan Realm Expert. The girl with a veil carried a blue bow in her hands. Streams of water were flowing on the bow. As she drew back the bow, the water formed an arrow and shot out directly. It seems like I don't have to do a thing. Wang Xian looked across before looking down. At this moment, Wang Xian saw 5 roughly 3-meter-long fire demons emerging from the pool of lava and glowering at the 6 of them. Rumble. Each of them carried a huge lava stone, and they threw them towards the sky. When the 2-meter lava stones fell on them, the defense of the Hexastar trembled. Shit, those fire demons have the strength of half-step to Dan Realm Experts. The young man turned even gloomier after seeing the 3 huge fire demons in the pool of lava. There's something in the heads of the fire demons. Those must be treasures. Wang Xian squinted his eyes and saw a fiery red crystal in the head of the fire demon after it had been smashed into pieces. You guys are too weak. Just stand aside and leave this to me. Seeing their attacks, Wang Xian chuckled nonchalantly as he charged towards the sea of fire demons. Don't break away from the area of the Hexastar. When the young man saw Wang Xian attacking the area below them, his face instantly sank. The other 4 were also exceptionally bitter. Once Wang Xian left, their strength would also be weakened substantially. However, Wang Xian didn't pay any attention to them. Although the 5 inborn experts could be considered immensely incredible among all martial artists, they were still weak in his eyes. He swung his arm, and ropes formed from water streams, wrapped towards the fire demons. Pa. As the water rope went around their necks, one could hear the sounds of water sizzling. Wang Xian pulled the rope in an explosive move. The heads of the fire demons were ripped apart instantly and flew towards Wang Xian. What? The other 5 were astonished to witness what had just happened. The eyes of the girl in the middle flickered as she stared at Wang Xian in disbelief. He's so strong to kill those fire demons in a single strike. Bam, bam, bam. Wang Xian cracked open the skulls of these fire demons casually. Soon, several fiery red fire crystals fell into his hands. Fire crystal, level 10. Inborn level material. I can use them to forge weapons or aid in cultivation. Wang Xian squinted his eyes. Each fire crystal was the size of a fist and was emitting heat. SSS. The 5 of them looked at Wang Xian in shock and gasped. This is a fire crystal, the essence of the fire demon. It is also the core of the fire demon. Fire crystals possess spirituality and can turn into fire demons. Seeing Wang Xian observing the fire crystals, the young man explained this to Wang Xian while feeling complicated. These are really useful. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked to the pool of lava below him. We did not expect your strength to be so strong. You probably could rank among the top half-step to Dan Realm Experts. Now that the flaming wind has subsided, let's get over quickly. The young man took a deep breath and said, Wait for me at the opposite shore. I want to take a look under the pool of lava. Wang Xian looked at the pool of lava and jumped into it directly. Brother, it's exceptionally dangerous in the pool of lava. Even an inborn expert would suffer if he entered it. Bam! Just before he could complete his words, Wang Xian was already completely submerged in the pool of lava. This infuriated the young man a little. He is really strong, but too reckless. The girl in the middle frowned as she looked at the spot where Wang Xian had dived into. His strength has completely exceeded our expectations. However, he likes to act tough and believes he is really strong. I wonder if it will turn out to be a good or bad thing to call him along. The young man remarked as he stared bitterly at the pool of lava. Haze! A sigh came from the girl. Chapter 473. I'll take care of you all. Bro, do you think he has reached Dan Realm based on the strength that he displayed just now? asked the girl in the middle to the young man as she stared blankly at the lava pool. How could it be? Even though he can kill 5 powerful fire demons in a single strike, I still don't believe he possesses the strength of Dan Realm. The young man shook his head. He must have some compelling treasure with him. I guess so. The girl nodded slowly and knit her eyebrows. She took an ice crystal from her pocket and placed it in her mouth. Another relapse. The young man rushed to her side with concern. I'm fine. The girl shook her head. Don't worry, sister. We'll find the holy water, said the young man, said with a firm tone. As her eyelashes arched upward, the girl revealed a beautiful smile. Let's hope that the young man can come out soon. Sure enough, it's the fire god's graveyard. There's so many treasures here. Wang Xian entered the pool of lava and was elated by what he saw. The lava pool was a few hundred meters deep, with sticky magma all over. Even an inborn expert could get melted in the hot lava. At this time, Wang Xian gave off a fiery glow, filling up his body with inferno dragon energy. Entering this place was no different from entering the ocean. Fire demons all were crouching at the bottom, with hundreds of them densely packed together. They surrounded the central location with a huge lotus flower. The lotus was 2 meters in size, giving off a fiery red glow even amid fire-hot lava. However, that lotus flower was different from flaming lotus. It had a huge stem. To be precise, it was a tree. Wang Xian was thrilled as he dashed to the bottom of the lava. Grew. The arrival of Wang Xian awakened all the fire demons around him. A few hundred dark fire demons' eyes were watching him. Since there are no Dan Realm fire demons, there's no need to fear. Wang Xian drew his lips and braved forward. Grew. At that very moment, a few hundred of fire demons charged at him. Go to hell. Wang Xian snorted as he brought up both hands. The entire space at the bottom of the lava seemed to be plunged into silence. Exterminate! With a soft groan, hundreds of fire demons shattered, with the fire crystals on their foreheads flying towards him. Given my current strength, I'm just a level away from being godlike. Besides, my strength is close to becoming a deity after transforming into a divine dragon. Wang Xian arched his lips as he came to the gigantic flaming lotus. Getting close to the lotus, Wang Xian noticed the heat given off was not that high. Fire God Lotus, level 12. Her? It's not a flaming lotus, it's a weapon. Wang Xian was taken aback upon seeing the gigantic Fire God Lotus. The entire Fire God Lotus stem was 7 meters long, while the flower had a size of 2 meters. He touched it and realized that it was a metal lotus. It's a weapon, a level 12 weapon. Wang Xian was a little shocked as he swung his arm and grabbed the Fire God Lotus. Buzz! Suddenly, a terrifying flame shrouded Wang Xian, and the color of the flame switched from red to purple to black, and eventually to a bloody red. The bloody red flame turned into a lotus flower which lurched at him. What? Wang Xian had a slight change in his expression as dragon scales surfaced on his body, giving off an immense flame. Roar! Suddenly, furious roars came from the Fire God Lotus. Wang Xian had a slight change in his expression. It was a spirit and a powerful one. OM! Wang Xian shook his arms, and they transformed into 2-meter-long, terrifying dragon claws while he raked them across the Fire God Lotus. Buzz! The Fire God Lotus jerked once before it was finally calmed down. Her! Wang Xian stared at the Fire God Lotus while he swung his arm again. The Fire God Lotus gradually shrunk into a 1.6-meter size. The fiery red lotus flower was the size of a human head with 12 petals on it. This is a staff? Wang Xian was shocked to see this, as he sensed a surging and robust fire element coming from it. There were many elemental martial artists in Euramerica, also known as mages. These mages, who specialized in remote attacks, would have staffs as their weapons. A level 12 staff surpasses any inborn spiritual weapons. Wang Xian held the staff in his hand as he sensed the incredible power in it. His eyes glimmered with surprise. With the fire god lotus staff in his hand, he felt cool. Besides, the fire god lotus could alter its size, which was extremely amazing. Wang Xian looked around and noticed the space under the layers of lava was much larger than that above. The space over here should be connected with the other routes. Wang Xian squinted his eyes slightly as he peered into the distance. Fire god Hephaestus specializes in making fire demons and refining equipment. Does that mean that a type of weapon is hidden under each of the 9 routes? If that is the case, then Wang Xian's eyes were fired up with passion. If there were 9 level 12 weapons, that would be insane. Let's check it out. With a thought, he looked to the left and swam out rapidly. Oh no, someone took the fire god staff. At this time, an old man with striking red hair had a huge change in his expression as he growled in another side hall. What, Lord Armins, did you say someone took the fire god staff? How is this possible? The people beside him were stunned as they exclaimed with disbelief. It's true. I left some fire to keep a tab, but little did I expect someone to take away the staff of fire god. That old man's face was somber, but the staff is spiritual. No one can take it if they are too weak. Could it be some other compelling experts from other sects who are here? The group of experts from Fire God denomination asked with gloomy faces. I'm not sure. Let's act fast. We need to pass through the side hall and get inside. Otherwise, it will be complicated. On the other hand, send someone to investigate this. The Fire God staff is mighty. If someone got it, we will be able to find out. I hope it's not anyone from the other denominations, the group from Fire God denomination remarked with darkened expressions. Nope, there's nothing. It's just this weapon. What a disappointment. Wang Xian made one round without any discovery of other weapons under the lava pool. Feeling let down, he shook his head. Then he jumped out of the lava. Bam! Wang Xian leaped out from the lava before the 5 people. As soon as they saw Wang Xian with a staff in his hand, they were astounded. You guys will lead the way. With me around, there's nothing to be afraid of. Wang Xian commented jokingly as he was in high spirits. The 5 of them took a deep look at him and the staff before they nodded. Bro, it's better to be careful. This is Fire God Palace, the graveyard of a god. The young man took a deep breath solemnly as he reminded Wang Xian again. No problem. Don't be such a chicken. I'll take care of you all. Wang Xian grinned at them. Chapter 474. Treasure. Treasure. When the 5 of them heard Wang Xian, they almost choked. However, they didn't say a thing. This water attribute martial artist that they had found at the last minute was surprisingly much stronger than they had expected. You got the staff from below the pool of lava. The girl in the middle blinked her eyes and asked. Yeah, just a small staff. Wang Xian smiled and turned it in his hands. The staff looked extremely exquisite, and the fiery red lotus on it was as vivid as it could be. It was entirely red, and one could tell that it's extraordinary with a single look. Let's go, Wang Xian said to the group. The group nodded their heads and followed. There are 3 paths right ahead of us. 2 of them won't lead to the side hall. Instead, you will find the demon-rearing caves at the end of the path. There are over 1,000 fire demons there, and death is almost certain if one carelessly enters it. As they walked ahead, a 3-forked road appeared before them. The young man explained this to Wang Xian. Fire god Hephaestus had a weird behavior. Based on records, he rarely interacted with people. Instead, he lived with the fire demons. The entire Fire God Palace is filled with fire demons. As long as we follow this path, we will be able to reach the side hall. There are 2 Dan Realm level fire demons guarding the place. However, we will also likely encounter several dozens of fire demons on the way. We have to kill these fire demons first. Perhaps he had noticed that Wang Xian was much stronger than them. Therefore, the young man was explaining it in detail to Wang Xian. 2 Dan realm level fire demons? With the strength of your group, I don't think you guys would make it in. Wang Xian took a glance at the 5 of them and raised an eyebrow. We have 2 plans that are worth a try. However, the outcome isn't certain. The young man hesitated for a moment and chose not to hide any further. What plans do you guys have? Asked Wang Xian curiously. First, we can lead the fire demons away so my sister can get in. Second, the second plan is to use my blood. While the young man was explaining, the girl in the middle interrupted. Huh. Wang Xian looked at the girl in shock. I have the fire seed from the fire god in me. Therefore, if we can use our blood, Dan realm fire demons, which are smarter, might be able to sense it. The girl said to Wang Xian. Fire seed from the fire god. Wang Xian was taken aback and showed a shocked expression. The so-called fire seed could also be interpreted as a bloodline. In other words, she was a descendant of a fire god. However, a fire seed was also entirely different from a bloodline. Fire seeds were implanted by experts to ensure that their descendants could become powerful fire attribute cultivators. The seed could trigger the cultivation talents of their descendants. The fire seed of the fire god was also the powerful affinity to fire. This doesn't make sense. You are a water attribute cultivator. Wang Xian stared at the girl and frowned slightly. This is because I'm also the descendant of a water god. I've triggered the fire seed and water seed in me at the same time. The girl explained plainly, and a flash of helplessness ran through her eyes. This, incredible. Wang Xian was a little speechless. The descendant of a fire god and water god. Although this didn't mean that she was born after a water god mated with a fire god, it was still within the last 5 generations. In other words, the ancestors of the girl had a fire god and a water god within the last 5 generations. It wasn't certain that a fire seed or a water seed could be triggered. This depended on talents, body constitution, and luck. Moreover, they would disappear within 5 generations. This girl has triggered the fire seed and the water seed subsequently. That's extremely rare, but water and fire can't coexist. A water god should be able to erase the fire seed in you. Wang Xian looked at the girl. Among our past ancestors, there was only a single water god, and she passed away, the young man said with a heavy expression. Based on what you guys have said, if there are Dan realm fire demons in the side hall, there should also be stronger fire demons in the main hall. After you guys get in, what are you guys going to do? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and asked inquisitively. The stronger the fire demon, the more intelligent it is. If the main hall really has a powerful fire demon, it must have lived with the fire god for a long time. My sister has the fire seed from the fire demon. I believe the fire demon won't harm us. We are looking for the holy water that was stolen away by the fire god. The holy water can cleanse away the fire seed in my sister's body, the young man said with a heavy expression. Wang Xian nodded his head. Since the fire demon was the slave of the fire god, it would definitely not harm the descendant of the fire god. It would be especially so for a descendant that had triggered the fire seed. Now it makes sense why you guys dare to come in with your strength. Let's go, Wang Xian said to the group and walked ahead. Within the fire god palace, the closer one was to the center location, the hotter the flames would be. Even the surrounding rocks were red. Although the 5 of them had reached the inborn realm, they still had to resist the heat with all their strength. There are so many fire demons along the way, the young man commented solemnly after seeing what was ahead of him. Just follow behind me. Wang Xian chuckled nonchalantly as he walked ahead with the fire god Lotus. Ahead of him, several dozen fire demons stood in the center. Above them, lava was dripping off the wall as a result of the heat. Growlinger. When the fire demons noticed Wang Xian and the group, they stared at them with their deep and black eyes. At the same time, they charged towards them and attacked. Wang Xian waved the fire god lotus, and several lotus flowers flew ahead. When they contacted the head of the fire demons, their heads were blown away. Those must be the effects of the staff. That must at least be a weapon that is above the inborn spiritual level. The group of 5 was shocked when they saw how powerful it was. The girl with a veil looked fervently at the staff in Wang Xian's hand. Along the way, all the fire demons were easily killed. Soon, a huge palace appeared before him. The palace was approximately 15 meters tall. As compared to the Dragon Palace, the architecture seemed a little rough. However, it was no less majestic than the most spectacular treasure hall. From time to time, lava would drip from the ceiling, making it look exceptionally breathtaking. Far away, they could see 2 5-meter fire demons resting at the center of the side hall. Around them, there were over 100 inborn-level fire demons. At one end of the side hall, there were various fiery red boxes. Several weapons were placed casually around, and each of these weapons gave off a strong vibe. On the walls of the palace, a spiritual flame ball the size of a human head was embedded. SSS, there are so many treasures around. That spiritual flame ball is at least level 11. As for those weapons that are casually placed, they are all inborn spiritual weapons. How crazy is this? Wang Xian's eyes beamed with excitement. If inborn spiritual weapons were casually placed around and a level 11 spiritual flame ball was embedded into the wall, those treasures in the box would be even more precious. This was just one of the 9 side halls. There was still the main hall. What kind of treasures would there be in the main hall? Wang Xian was exhilarated. This was indeed the fire god's graveyard that had attracted lots of elite forces in Asia. The treasures of this place were insane. Those 2 fire demons are unbelievably strong. A Dan realm expert from our family was easily killed by them. After that incident, our family also gave up on the treasures of the fire god. We are only left with the 2 plans. As the young man looked at the 2 fire demons, fear gleamed in his eyes as he took a deep breath. Chapter 475, Unexpected Battle. 2 Dan realm fire demons. Wang Xian curled his lips slightly as he swept his gaze across all the treasures in the hall. "Let's enter," said Wang Xian straightaway. "We have a defensive weapon that can temporarily resist the fire demons. As long as we stall them for a while, my sister and I can go inside. With some luck, we could. Let me test the strength of those fire demons." Before the young man could finish his words, Wang Xian leaped into the hall. The 5 of them were appalled as they quickly shouted, "Bro, the fire demons are extremely strong. They'll start to attack you frantically once you enter the side hall. Don't be rash. All of you stay outside." Without turning his head, he replied in a soft voice. He was not being impulsive, but rather he had no fear of those fire demons given his current strength. Roar! When Wang Xian stepped into the side hall, all the fire demons let out a roar. The 2 enormous fire demons, which were lying in the center, slowly got up. A horrifying heat wave rushed at him as the air turned red instantly. The entire space was covered in redness, while some vague figures could be seen from the outside. Oh no, there's no chance for him to survive, even if he's a Dan realm expert, when he charged in recklessly. The young man had a dreadful look when he saw Wang Xian charge inside. The girl in the center sighed without many choices. "Let's wait over here." Exterminate. Wang Xian scanned all the fire demons as soon as he entered the side hall. The fire god lotus was shaking in his hand, exuding blazing fiery red lava. The lava condensed into a lotus shape that lurched at its surroundings. Beautiful yet explosive. Boom, boom. In a second, a violent explosion took place in the side hall. The flame enveloped the entire area. Roar! Roar! Her! Suddenly, 2 enormous figures pounced onto Wang Xian. He raised his eyebrows and hurled the fire god lotus in his hand at them. A tongue of flames darted at the two Dan realm fire demons. Growl! The two fire demons opened their mouths at the flame and swallowed it down into their stomachs. Wang Xian had a slight change in his expression as he slammed the fire god lotus at their heads. Boom! All of a sudden, two gigantic fiery red hammers emerged from the two fire demons' hands. They wielded the 5-meter hammers at Wang Xian. Wang Xian swung his hand as the radiance of the fire god lotus glowed to its maximum. A vast flaming lotus appeared in front of him to receive the blow from those gigantic fiery red hammers. Earth-raging flaming lotus. A hoarse and violent voice cut the air abruptly while the ground under Wang Xian cracked all of a sudden. Numerous huge flaming lotuses that were condensed from huge flames struck at him. Wang Xian was appalled. With a switch in his momentum, thick and heavy soil emerged, suppressing earth. Immense earth dragon energy brought peace back to the earth again as an earth shield blocked the attack of the flaming lotus. Flaming sledgehammer. Another bellow was heard. Wang Xian craned his neck upward and saw two mega flaming sledgehammers coming down on him. Earth shield. He raised his arm. With a quaking of the earth, bouts of soil surrounded him as the immense earth dragon energy filled the air within a 5-meter range around Wang Xian. Boom! Booming sound was heard, and the earth shield before Wang Xian began to crack. Damn, are these the Dan realm fire demons? Wang Xian was aghast as he held the fire god lotus and staggered back. With a stern-looking face, he stared at the two fire demons. The two fire demons glared at Wang Xian with pitch-black pupils and flames exploding from their sockets. Earth-raging flaming lotus and flaming sledgehammers. All these are battle techniques. Wang Xian's expression sank with a mixed look. Given his current level 8 strength of a divine dragon, the maximum level that he could take down was level 12 in his human form and level 13 in dragon form. However, it was only pertaining to ordinary realms. If he encountered equivalent level existences that shared similar prestige bloodlines as him, it would be good enough to defeat them, let alone beating the higher level ones. Just like when he met Phoenix, level 8 was the maximum that he could go against. Besides, with the stronger opponents he encountered, the levels he could take down would drop. The fire demons were this case, as their combat power was far beyond his expectation. Two Dan realm fire demons were actually on par with him. That was to say, he could only take down maximum level 11 when confronting fire demons. In the face of fire demons, he was only able to take 3 levels higher than him, instead of the 4 when in human form. If there were more formidable fire demons in the side hall, does that mean that I can't defeat them even when I transform into a divine dragon? Battle techniques, battle techniques. Wang Xian murmured to himself. The divine dragons had no battle techniques. In fact, they did not require one, as a divine dragon was born to have first divine dragon transformation. As mighty as they were, all they needed was to practice 9 divine dragon transformations, and naturally, they would reach the pinnacle of their race. The time used to practice battle techniques was better used in enhancing cultivation. However, some other creatures might be different as they had limited potential. Hence, they could only enhance their strength through various methods, including battle techniques. With powerful battle techniques, they could gain freaky superpowers. Powerful human relies on weapons to slay a dragon. If I have compelling battle techniques, I could easily exterminate these fire demons. Wang Xian squinted his eyes slightly as he swung his arm, tossing the fire god lotus aside. Even though I do not have battle techniques, I'm a divine dragon. Wang Xian's physique had a rapid change. An 8-meter-long divine dragon emerged as he suspended himself in the air, exuding a daunting vibe slowly. Roar! With a dragon bellow, the whole side hall quaked violently. Wang Xian slowly swung his tail left and right. Invincible aura loomed over the fire demons. Growl! As soon as the two fire demons felt the terrifying aura, they trembled and let out soft roars. Go to hell! Wang Xian made a swift move and appeared on top of the fire demons' heads instantly. Growl! The two fire demons raised their enormous flaming sledgehammers and struck him with terror. Boom! Wang Xian stretched out his dragon claws and raked at the hammers. Ka. The compelling force swept the hammers aside as the dragon claws continued their downward ripping motion. As soon as the heads of the fire demons were torn apart under the mighty force of the dragon claws, two fist-sized fire crystals appeared before Wang Xian's eyes. He revealed a smile and restored himself to his human form, grabbing the two fire crystals with his hand. After turning into a divine dragon, killing the two fire demons was a breeze. With a thought, he put on the pastel blue uniform again. As Wang Xian surveyed his surroundings, he could not hide the thrill on the face. Treasures, so many treasures. He finally struck a fortune this time. With an arm swing, he put the spiritual flame ball on the wall. Lava ball, level 11. This lava ball is similar to the spiritual flame balls, which I got previously. Wang Xian opened his mouth and brought out a dragon ball from it. The dragon ball immediately engulfed the lava ball. He looked around and chuckled. Chapter 476. Water and fire couldn't coexist. There are 20 inborn spiritual weapons. It's no surprise that he's a fire god known for his blacksmith skills. This box is full of inborn level metal. There's over 100 caddies of metal. These are level 11 weapons. A bow isn't bad either. This is a bloodline. The bloodline of the blazing flame bird. Some cultivators in Europe can devour bloodline, and this would greatly enhance his fire attribute energy. This is fire spiritual liquid. It's greatly beneficial for fire attribute cultivators. In the side hall, Wang Xian was searching through the treasures enthusiastically. Inborn spiritual weapons were the most common objects here. As for weapons which were a grade higher, unique bloodline or spiritual objects, every single item would be a treasure which many would fight and compete for. Why aren't there any sounds now? At this very moment, the group of 5 was looking into the side hall, curiously from the outside. A while ago, those terrifying roars and auras had completely petrified them. However, those sounds were gone after just a few minutes. This made them extremely bitter. He might be dead, the young man commented helplessly. The girl in the middle also shook her head bitterly and said, The fire demons in there are too strong. There's no way an ordinary Dan realm expert could stand up against them. In fact, the fire demons are so strong that even 4 or 5 Dan realm experts might not be able to do anything about them. However, we weren't placing all our hopes on him when we first decided to come. Let's use our plan, the young man said with a heavy expression. Brother, I guess we should. We should. The girl was hesitant. Prince, take a look. Take a look. Suddenly, the other young man standing by the side exclaimed loudly as he pointed to the side hall. Huh. The others were taken aback and turned over. At this moment, the raging flames that had dyed the atmosphere red were gradually dissipating. Once again, peace returned to the side hall. In the peaceful hall, all of them could see a figure. That figure was none other than Wang Xian, who was still busy looking through the treasures. The group of young men and that girl looked at that figure in shock and surprise. How can this be possible? Those are fire demons that instantly killed the Dan realm experts in our clan. When the young man saw the 2 gigantic corpses, his body was shivering. He managed to kill them. His strength. That girl exchanged glances with the young man and said, How can he be so powerful when he's so young? The 5 of them hesitated for a moment before entering the side hall. At this point, the side hall was in wretched shape. In the center, there was a huge pothole. Around them, there are countless potholes that had been smashed by the flaming sledgehammer. Wang Xian lifted his head, took a glance at them, and nodded his head with a smile. This. The group of 5 stared at Wang Xian blankly. The young man looked around, and his attention eventually fell on a location to his left. At that place, there was an incomparably huge metal door. The door was over a dozen meters tall and 7 to 8 meters in width. That must be the entrance to the main hall, the young man whispered. He walked to Wang Xian and lowered his head, respectfully. Senior, we were blind to have misjudged your strength. Wang Xian chuckled nonchalantly. He looked to them before turning his head to the entrance of the main hall. You guy would like to go in there? We have to. Senior, please help us. If we can really get in there successfully, all we want would be the holy water and the holy water scripture. As for the rest, those things are all for your keeping, the young man said in a solemn tone. Oh! Wang Xian was slightly surprised by his promise. He had not expected the 2 fire demons to be so strong. If there was a stronger existence in the main hall, he might not be able to deal with it. If there are stronger fire demons in there, all we can do is to retreat immediately. Wang Xian hesitated for a moment before answering. If our plans do not work out, we could only retreat, the young man said with a heavy expression. I would like to go take a look at the main hall of the god. Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile as he turned his gaze towards the entrance of the main hall. It's better if the 4 of you just stay behind. You can follow me in, Wang Xian said to the girl. This. The young man was stunned and appeared hesitant. All right. The girl nodded her head and continued, Brother, it's all right. I can just go over with this senior. The young man nodded his head and gripped the girl's arm more tightly. Let go take a look. Wang Xian walked towards the main door leading to the main hall together with the girl. At the entrance, Wang Xian realized that this was an incomparably huge metal door. He took a deep breath and placed both of his hands on it. The eyes of the girl were flickering as she stared into it agitatedly. She felt a little relieved. Ka. The large metal door was opened gradually, and an incomparably huge hall appeared before them. At the center of the hall, a ball of flames was still raging. At the very front, there was a golden throne and a burning branch on it. Who's the one disturbing the slumber of my master? A low growl immediately attracted Wang Xian and the girl's attention. Wang Xian and the girl immediately looked over and saw a 10-meter-tall figure getting up gradually. Around him, there was a spiritual cabinet that was approximately 3 meters long and glowing faintly. A 10-meter fire demon. Wang Xian instantly turned solemn. This fire demon was completely different from those he met previously. There weren't any raging flames on him. Instead, he wore red fire armor and appeared more like a terrifying giant. He held a flaming sledgehammer in each hand and had countless fire crystals embedded in his body. His aura was totally well kept, and one couldn't sense how terrifying he really was. The fire demon looked at Wang Xian and the girl, and eventually stopped on the girl. His eyes flickered, and a tinge of hesitation flashed in his eyes. The girl mustered all her courage and attempted to say something. Annoying water energy. Don't taint the divine hall of my master. Before the girl could complete her words, the fire demon had picked up the water energy in them. A ray of light shot towards them immediately. Wang Xian was shocked. He waved his hand instantly, and a thick water shield appeared before him. Bam! Bam! This is bad. The ray of light penetrated the water shield instantly. Wang Xian was caught by surprise and could only retreat with the girl in his arms. However, a ray of light shot into his body directly. Wang Xian was shocked. He adjusted his constitution, and the fire dragon energy in him instantly erased the ray of light. What the hell is that attack? How did it penetrate the water shield? The ray of light wasn't a scorching hot flame and disappeared in the blink of an eye into one's body with a stream of warmth. Wang Xian was able to erase it only by changing the attributes of his body. Arg. However, the girl in his embrace screamed out in pain at this moment. Wang Xian could feel the chill and heat swapping rapidly in her body. Shit, the fire seed that was being suppressed is triggered. Fire and water can't coexist. Chapter 470, Daughter. Dragon King, Prime Minister Turtle, and the rest have not been revived yet in the Dragon Palace. Evening. Wang Xian sat by an outdoor restaurant near the beach and was talking to Mo Qinglong over the phone. Wang Xian had sent Mo Qinglong to the Dragon Palace to teach the golden swordfish race to read and speak, and at the same time, to check if the rest had been revived. The time required to revive them had exceeded his expectations. With the powers of the Soul Returning Branch and Dragon Transformation Pool, it would still take more time before they could be revived. There aren't any treasures in the Dragon Palace currently. Let's hope that I can get some on this trip to the Fire God's graveyard. Sitting by the restaurant next to the beach, Wang Xian looked towards the clear seawater some distance away. Before him, there were tourists from various countries in sexy bikinis playing by the beach. In the sea, a yacht steered by and left behind a long trail of white waves. Sister Lingling, you are so annoying. I want to go surfing. I want to go surfing. Have you forgotten that you almost drowned the last time you went surfing? You can forget about it. Just sit here, drink your tea obediently, and enjoy the sun. TSK. You. How? Wang Xian glanced over after hearing a conversation coming from his side. It was between two girls. One was a loli with two ponytails. Her clothes resembled those cosplay costumes, and she looked adorable in them. The other girl was wearing a white skirt. Both of them were chatting casually. Wang Xian looked over with eyes of admiration. When he noticed that the loli was staring at him, he felt a little embarrassed and turned around. What's the matter, Xiaowan? You are finally at the age where you are interested in handsome guys. The girl teased Xiaowan after seeing her staring at Wang Xian. Sister Lingling. It's him. Look, it's him. He's that uncle. Suddenly, that loli pointed at Wang Xian and shouted. Huh. The girl by her side looked curiously towards Wang Xian. When Wang Xian heard the shouts of the loli, he also turned his head over. He raised an eyebrow and found them to be rather familiar. He's the one who raced with us, the one that rode a heavy-duty motorcycle. It's him, the loli exclaimed. The girl by the side pondered for a moment, turned her attention towards Wang Xian, and was struck by a sudden realization. It's really him. You are that little brat. After the loli kicked up a ruckus, Wang Xian also recalled this little brat. He met her when he had just had the mysterious encounter. After winning a heavy-duty motorcycle from a guy, he encountered 3 sports cars. Those 2 girls were in one of the 3 sports cars. At that time, they raced and crashed into a big truck after they went into the opposite lane. This little brat had both legs broken on the spot, and that beautiful girl also suffered a huge blow to her chest. At that time, he had helped to heal them. Who would have expected he would meet them here after half a year? Wang Xian's lips curved up slightly. He looked to the little brat and found her a little more attractive as compared to half a year ago. So my daughter is here. Yeah. How are your injuries? Wang Xian smiled, looked towards the slender legs of the loli, and teased her. He still could recall this little brat asking him to call her mom if he had lost. After the accident, Wang Xian made her call him dad, and this little brat did so while crying. The memories were still fresh in his mind. After all, she was the first daughter he had. You rascal. Seeing how Wang Xian was teasing her, the loli instantly fumed. She gritted her teeth and stared at him. She could still remember clearly that when she was about to fall unconscious, this guy made her call him daddy. At the thought of this, she couldn't wait to eat him. Xiaowan, don't be rude. The girl by the side pulled the loli by her arm and turned to Wang Xian. With a sincere voice, she thanked Wang Xian. I'm really grateful for your treatment last time. We heard it from the doctor. If it wasn't for you, we would have been in trouble. However, I'm really sorry about it. Because of our family matters, we had come to Dubai for treatment and didn't have the opportunity to express our gratitude. Senior, can you really calm the energies in my sister's body? The young man stared at Wang Xian fervently. Wang Xian did not answer him as he looked at the girl and knit his brows slightly. That fire demon gazed at that girl for a moment, but he spat out the word taint after sensing the water energy inside her. Did he sense her bloodline or not? Wang Xian pondered with hesitation. Let's go in and give it a try again, said Wang Xian to the girl on the floor after some consideration. Her. For a moment, the girl froze with a pondering look in her eyes. She gazed at Wang Xian before she nodded slowly. I sensed the fire demon's attention on me just now. It must have been my water attribution that caused him to attack me. I guess so too. Given your fire seed and your fire god bloodline, the fire demon should not be attacking you, Wang Xian said with affirmation. A servant for the fire god should not be killing his offspring. This was for sure. But the water energy inside me... Leave it to me. Wang Xian laughed and carried the girl up. The girl was wearing thick, silica material clothes. He could not feel or tell her figure when he picked her up. Half of her face was hidden behind the blue veil, concealing her appearance. The girl let out a soft moan with a face flushed with redness. Let's go. Without any further comments, Wang Xian walked towards the door of the main hall. A bout of flames rose from his body, wrapping the two of them together. Fire attribution. The four young men were shocked when they witnessed the flame rising out from Wang Xian's body. Rumble. Once again, Wang Xian pushed open the door of the main hall. Damn you, insignificant thing. Don't interrupt my master's sleep. As soon as the door was opened, a fireball that contained immense, daunting energy was hurled at them. With a change in Wang Xian's expression, a fire shield emerged in front of him. I am the offspring of the fire god. I have the fire seed of the fire god inside me, said the girl hurriedly as she hid her face in the chest of Wang Xian when she saw the fireball darting towards her. Sir Fire Demon, she is the descendant of the fire god. Wang Xian spoke immediately. She has an irking aura with her, the fire demon bellowed. I am indeed a descendant of the fire god. The girl turned to the fire demon and stretched out her fair arm and shot a drop of blood at the fire demon. The massive fire demon stared at the blood droplet that was flying toward him. He sensed a familiar vibe and twitched his entire large face. You're really the descendant of my master. Your fire seed has been activated. My master once said that his descendants would obtain his legacy only after the fire seed has been triggered. Otherwise, anyone who comes in here shall die. As he stared at the girl, fiery red radiance was glowing within the pitch-black eyes of Fire Demon. Please accept the legacy, descendant of my master. The Fire Demon slightly bowed down as he spoke to the girl. Chapter 478. The Wrath of the Water God. Legacy. The girl was stunned and looked in shock at the Fire Demon with her bright eyes. After which, she turned to Wang Xian and was clearly looking lost. The legacy of the fire god could help erase the water seed in your body. This is a great opportunity for you. Even Wang Xian was shocked. Looking at the girl, he explained it to her. The legacy of the fire god was undoubtedly the greatest chance encounter you could get in this world. However, the requirements for this type of chance encounter were extremely stringent. Based on what the fire god had mentioned, there were two requirements for one to inherit the legacy of the fire god. One of them was to be a descendant of the fire god, while the other would be to trigger one's fire seed. If one was lacking in either of the two, he would have no chance at all. And there were very few people who could fulfill both conditions. Wang Xian carried the girl and approached where the fire demon was. His eyes were fixed on the 3-meter spiritual cabinet. The entire spiritual cabinet was fiery red and was made of fire crystals and metal. The spiritual cabinet wasn't a spiritual object and had no abilities. However, it was made specifically with inborn-level materials. Beside the spiritual cabinet, there was a set of old lighting equipment that was still burning. The fire demon stared at them. Perhaps it was because he had not interacted with other humans previously. Although the fire demon had gained sentience, his intelligence wasn't high. He was just like a robot. However, he had a learning capability that robots didn't have. That's the holy water. When the girl saw the other side of the spiritual cabinet, she was shocked to find a silverish-white porcelain vial. On the silverish-white porcelain vial, there was an extract engraving. Wang Xian looked at it and was shocked. Holy water vial, level 12. A level 12 holy water vial. Wang Xian's eyes beamed with fervor. However, he didn't move. When the girl inherited the fire god's legacy, most of the treasures would be his. The edge of Wang Xian's lips curved slightly as he looked at the spiritual cabinet. Rumble. The fire demon kneeled on the floor and pushed the spiritual cabinet aside. An old man lay in it. The old man looked like a foreigner and wore fiery red armor. In his hands, there were objects that resembled the hexastar. From the appearance, there was almost no difference. The only difference might just be that this hexastar was fiery red in color. Together with the hexastar was a red book kept inside a box. Fire God's secret book. Wang Xian lowered the girl gradually. Placing his arm on her back, he suppressed the water seed within her. The girl looked at the fire god in the spiritual cabinet with mixed feelings. He was her ancestor. However, this ancestor of hers was a blight in the history of her family race. The truth was he had humiliated a girl from their family. This was also the reason why she had the fire god's fire seed. When facing the deceased fire god, the girl felt exceptionally conflicted. The fire demon knew nothing about manners. Standing by the side, he said, "The blazing stars are objects required for inheriting the legacy. Hold them in your hands, trigger the fire seeds, and you can naturally obtain the legacy." The girl nodded her head as she stretched her hands towards the blazing stars. BZZ, BZZ. A blazing star seemed to have picked up her presence. It shook briefly and flew towards her directly. Ka-ka! The blazing star landed on the chest of the girl. Instantly, all the clothes on her were set ablaze. Wang Xian frowned slightly. Her clothes were made of water attribute defensive materials. Water and fire would repel each other. She has quite a figure. SSS. A goddess. Wang Xian was dumbfounded. Perhaps it was because she had inherited the bloodline of the fire god, or perhaps she was just a typical foreign goddess. She was really tall, almost as tall as Wang Xian. As her hair was tied up, it had covered her body, and she even wore a veil. So Wang Xian had not expected her to be so beautiful. Based on a discussion he had with Wang Dahai in school, she was a Deyang Ma. Moreover, she was an extremely beautiful goddess. You, don't look at me. When the girl felt the fervent gaze of Wang Xian, her weak voice resounded. Her voice wasn't compatible with her figure at all. Wang Xian rubbed his nose and turned around awkwardly. Rumble. Suddenly, the entire fire god's graveyard shook. Streams of fiery red energy swarmed in from 9 directions and gathered at the ceiling of the main hall. Wang Xian lifted his head and saw a huge spiritual flame ball above him. Body refining spiritual flame ball. It's at least level 12. Wang Xian was shaken. Rumble. At this moment, a loud boom reverberated as though a volcano had erupted. Boom. Suddenly, the doors of the other 8 side halls were smashed open and thick lava flowed in. The lava harbored immense energy and flowed towards the ceiling of the main hall. The lava gathered in the body refining spiritual flame ball, following which a refreshing heat wave shot towards the corpse of the fire god in the spiritual cabinet, after which they were transferred into the body of the girl through the blazing stars. What a smart fire god to come up with this method to pass down his legacy. How unexpected. When Wang Xian witnessed what happened, he was stunned. Legacy wasn't as simple as it may sound. If he had simply relied on the body refining spiritual flame ball to cleanse the body of the girl, there would be a limit. Just like how he had once cleansed Xiao Ran's body and wasn't able to greatly increase his strength. However, if it was done through the blazing stars, there would be a medium. The effects of the medium would be similar to how they had used the aqua stars previously. It's no surprise he is a fire god. His great wisdom isn't what a typical genius could match. Boundless and incomparably immense fire energy. The entire hall was burning. Rumble. Outside the graveyard, sounds of explosions reverberated constantly. The entire island was shaking. What happened? What is going on? Why does it feel that the entire island is sinking? What the hell just happened? The door to the main hall is open. What's the situation? Could it be that someone has obtained the treasure of the fire god, or someone has entered the main hall? On various footpaths and side halls, the people from the 8 denominations and the rest who had entered the fire god's graveyard suddenly felt the entire fire spirit island shaking violently. All of them were shocked and alarmed. They stared solemnly but fervently at the large door leading to the main hall. The volcano of the fire spirit island has gone extinct. It has gone extinct. Something grave must have happened. Something grave must have happened in it. Those who had been paying attention to the fire god's graveyard were astonished. As they looked in the direction of the fire spirit island, their expressions were changing rapidly. Within the main hall, dense fire energy swarmed into the body of the girl, while the body refining spiritual flame ball cleansed her body. Wang Xian avoided looking as he observed the surroundings and eventually focused on the middle of the throne. The fire demon was right there, and thus Wang Xian didn't dare to act rashly. The strength of this fire demon was probably a lot stronger than him. It was especially so after Wang Xian saw the armor and weapon the fire demon was using. Clearly, those were forged specially for him by the fire god and would definitely be immensely powerful. As the clear flames flowed into the girl, her great figure was glowing in a faint red light. Currently, she was just like a goddess of legends. It should be ending soon. After approximately half an hour, Wang Xian sensed the disappearance of the energy from the surroundings. He immediately looked to the ceiling. Even the body refining spiritual flame ball is turning into energy. Wang Xian was taken aback. Although this amount of immense energy couldn't make her into a fire god, reaching the budding realm should be easy. As for whether she can reach the level of an immortal, it will still be dependent on her talents, hard work, and luck. Growlinger. Ling Ling. At this moment, a roar suddenly reverberated throughout the main hall. The roar originated from the body of the girl. It belonged to the water and was just like the sounds of a tsunami. As for that buzzing noise, it came from the holy water vial. Wang Xian turned his head over immediately and was astonished to see the stopper of the holy water vial being removed by itself. The vial of holy water rinsed the body of the girl. Water and fire can't coexist. This was the wrath of the water god. Chapter 479. All of these are mine? 1. Wang Xian was not sure how strong the god was, but his inborn spiritual weapons already possessed spirits in them. The spirituality was interlinked, which made sets of spiritual weapons possible. Just as the water seed was about to be extinguished, it made the final struggle. The struggle drew the spirituality from the holy water vial. Both of them belonged to the water god. With similar spirituality, the holy water vial reacted to the holy water by instinct. When Wang Xian spun around, the bouts of holy water had already entered the girl's body. The holy water that entered her body was an azure blue color. This was not like adding oil to the fuel, but rather the water and fire were completely unmatched. Arg! The girl let out a devastating scream when the holy water entered her body. The water seed awakened and began to combat the fire seed again. The difference from just now was that both fire seed and water seed seemed to possess some spirituality as they began to occupy the body. For a moment, her body turned red, exuding a burning glow. Subsequently, she turned blue again. Oh gosh, this girl is quite miserable. Wang Xian had a slight change in expression, as though he could feel two energies exploding at any time in the body. Once they exploded, the girl would, no doubt, be reduced to ashes. In the past, she had endured the torture of the fire seed and water seed. Now, she had finally obtained the legacy of the fire god. Such an excellent opportunity, but no one expected this. One can imagine how domineering the strength of the holy water was, since it was contained in a level 12 spiritual weapon. That was the reason, too, that the water seed was revived, spurring another conflict between water and fire. The fire demon was standing at the side, looking at the girl blankly. As a combat fire demon, he did not know what was going on and did not understand what changes she was undergoing. The fire demon could only stare at her with doubts. Wang Xian made a swift move and came to the girl. He placed his palms on her body. One of his arms was red while the other one was blue. He placed both arms on the back of that girl. Such tenderness. Her? She's alternating between hot and cold. SSS fuck. It's the grade 2 of fire and ice. Wang Xian had a dramatic mix of expressions. While he had turned into a divine dragon during the fight, just now, his clothes were turned to ashes. Subsequently, he had been using his energy to wrap himself just like if had his clothes on. Essentially, he was naked. Now this girl was undressed too. This was secondary. He would not lose control, given his character. However, the girl was experiencing a grade 2 of fire and ice, alternating between hot and cold. This was not any ordinary fire and ice. It was the hotness and coldness coming from her body. As a result, it was Wang Xian's natural reaction to get hardened in between his legs as a form of respect. With both his palms at the back of the girl, it was not hard to imagine when a part of him became hard. Apparently, the girl sensed something odd from behind her, but the burning heat and the coolness distracted her from her thoughts. Damn, the energy in her body is beyond my control. Wang Xian took a deep breath as the look on his face changed slightly after sensing the energy in the girl's body. After receiving the legacy of the fire god, the energy that was cleansed by the holy water was no longer weak like before. It was not something he could easily control anymore. Gone, this girl is finished. What a waste. Wang Xian felt the massive energy in her and sighed. At this time, the girl collapsed and fell on Wang Xian. She leaned on Wang Xian, just like someone without a spine. Wang Xian slightly frowned and held her with 2 arms and 1 leg while he continued to think of solutions. What should I do? It'd be a pity if she died just like that. Besides, if she explodes in this place, the entire fire god's graveyard will be ruined. There go my treasures too. Wang Xian continued to look around his surroundings to see if there were any other spiritual items around. The fire demon beside him was useless, as he could only watch blankly, wondering what was happening. Legacy, a medium, hexastar. An idea suddenly struck Wang Xian when he spotted the fiery red hexastar pattern on the girl's stomach. The fiery red hexastar seemed to have merged with her body. Wang Xian looked over to another hexastar at the coffin. With an arm swing, the other hexastar was sucked into his hand. Followed by a swift movement, he enveloped both of their bodies with flames. Throw your aqua stars in. Wang Xian yelled at the top of his lungs toward the side hall where he came from. While the other 4 young men were standing outside, waiting in fear, They were shocked when they heard Wang Xian's voice. Without any hesitation, they quickly took 6 hexastars and headed for the main hall. No entry. Knowing that they were a team with the descendant of the fire god, the fire demon let out a yell. The young man was shocked as he hurriedly threw the hexastars that he was holding. The domineering stance of the fire demon was suffocating them as they receded as soon as possible. Since the hexastars can convert energy, and the fire god thought of using hexastars to carry on with his legacy, then this method should work. But forget it. Let's get her back on her feet first. Otherwise, I will also be implicated if she suddenly explodes. The entire Fire Spirit Island will be blasted off when these 2 domineering energies explode. Even I will sustain severe injuries. Till then, I can't even get any treasures. Wang Xian pondered to himself as he took another fiery red hexastar in his hand. Blazing Star, level 11. Be it Blazing Star or Aqua Star, they were made by either the Inferno energy or water energy. These energy crystals can enter into bodies. Wang Xian swung his arm and inserted the Blazing Star crystal into his belly, forming a pattern on it. Immediately, Wang Xian realized he could use the Inferno energy in the girl's body. These 2 blazing stars are a pair. So are these 6. Wang Xian swung his arm once again and inserted another 3 aqua stars into the girl's body. When the 3 aqua stars stacked together, Wang Xian also took another aqua star and inserted it into his body. The aqua stars at their own specific positions could significantly enhance their strength by multiple times. If they were not placed in specific positions, they could only mobilize the energy between the 2 pointers. Such a unique formation acted like an array. Buzz! When the aqua stars entered into both bodies, Wang Xian had a thought. Activate the medium. Energy exchange. Wang Xian tried to mobilize her water energy into his own body. As the energy surged, the water energy entered. Wang Xian suddenly thought of something. In the 5 elements, water feeds wood fuels fire. When the fire circulated into the girl's body, the fire in her was transferred out subsequently. Fire forms earth. Earth forms metal. Metal carries water. The water went back to the girl's body. A perfect circulation. Given the fact that Wang Xian was a 5 elements divine dragon, he could create a circulation of energy within the girl's body. As long as the aqua stars and blazing stars remained in their bodies, the girl would not explode. Cold, hot, cold, hot. Wang Xian realized that he could control the girl's temperature as he wished. The feeling. Besides, he realized something frightening. With this method, he was indirectly taking control of the girl's life. Chapter 480. All of these are mine? 2. All it would take was a thought from him, and the girl would explode from within. This was a rather terrifying thing, as he had indirectly gained control of her. The transmission through the hexastar is really incredible. I wonder what kind of spirit array it used for the direct transfer of energy through the hexastar. Looking at the hexastar on his own chest, Wang Xian then turned to the girl before him. He patted the girl on her shoulders lightly and woke her up. The girl turned around, still feeling a little drowsy. The next moment, she checked on her body and instantly turned away in horror. I only did so because I'm out of options. Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and covered his body in flames. The girl moved away from him, and a small fire flashed in her eyes. When she looked at Wang Xian again, her face turned red rapidly. She turned around, and her heart was palpitating violently. Greetings, master. At this moment, the growl of the fire demon woke the confused girl. The fire demon went down on a knee and greeted her respectfully. The girl regained her senses and looked to the fire demon. You may get up now. Yes, master. The fire demon stood up and remained stationary. She felt the changes in her body and was completely astonished. There's nothing else I can do. I believe you will know the consequences if you choose to remove the hexastar. I'm just going with what I can. Speaking of which, I have saved your life." Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and spoke with a smile. "What are your plans now?" The girl took a deep breath and asked while still shivering a little. "Nothing. I'm only here to seek treasures. Now that you have inherited the position of the fire god, I'm fine with all the treasures," Wang Xian said heartily. With regard to this girl, he really did not have many feelings. Naturally, he was excluding natural instincts, other than these natural urges. He didn't even know the name or the age of the girl. There was no way he could develop romantic feelings for her. It wasn't that he was against it. It was just that he wouldn't make it past Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing. Now that Sun Lingxiu was staying with them, Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing could tell his relationship with her clearly. This matter wasn't settled yet. If he was to get involved in other matters, his harem would be in real turmoil. The girl was taken aback by Wang Xian's words, and shock was written all over her face. She waved her arms, and lava flowed out from the surface to envelope her. Looking at Wang Xian, she took a deep breath. "I have to take away the fire god's secret book, the holy water scripture, and the holy water vial. As for the rest, you can have them. What do you think? Let me make a copy of the fire god's secret book." Wang Xian nodded his head and answered. The main reason he was here was for the fire attribute cultivation arts. Moreover, Wang Xian was curious about the fire god's secret book. The secret book of the fire god would definitely have incredible battle techniques and attacking moves. He was eyeing it closely. "Only I can view the fire god's secret book. Others are not allowed," the girl said to Wang Xian. "Huh? What about the holy water scripture then?" Wang Xian raised an eyebrow. "The holy water scripture is a secret long held by my clan and will never be disclosed to outsiders." The girl looked a little bitter as she continued. "As for the other treasures, you can have them all. Let me see what treasures are around first." Wang Xian didn't agree. Looking at the fire demon at the side, he walked towards the throne. The girl glowered at Wang Xian before conversing with the fire demon. Wang Xian moved his arm and a shield flew into his hands from the side of the throne. Colored glass shield, level 12. Even a level 12 shield was placed casually. Fire god Hephaestus was a really powerful blacksmith, Wang Xian sighed. He turned around and looked at the girl. "Oh, right. Where is the fire god's art of weapon refining?" "It's in the fire god's secret book." The girl lifted her head, looked at him, and answered coldly. "Explain the art of weapon refining to me," Wang Xian replied with a smile, after which his attention turned to the location directly above him. At that place, there was a branch burning. Looking at this branch had jolted his memories of the progenitor tree and soul-returning branch in the Dragon Palace. This branch is constantly burning and seems to have endless flames. Wang Xian stared at the branch, and information appeared in his mind. Boundless branch. Level? Boundless branch. It's another unique tree branch. Wang Xian was shocked and reached out to grab it. Wow! A unique energy welled up in his body, and the boundless branch flew into it, to his astonishment. Wang Xian didn't attempt to stop it. As the boundless branch entered his body, it disappeared instantly. In the Dragon Palace, a far distance away, above the dragon throne, the jade-green progenitor tree started swaying a little. The soul-returning branch shifted slightly, and another branch grew beside it. This branch was emitting a weak and faint flame. Wow! The entire Dragon Palace seemed to have experienced some changes. The fire divine dragon head on one of the 9 pillars beside the dragon transformation pool lit up, following which the entire fire divine dragon glowed faintly and appeared as vivid as it could on the pillar. Wang Xian wasn't aware of the changes to the Dragon Palace. As he felt the branch disappearing in his body, he had some understanding in mind. Progenitor tree. The progenitor tree once grew in his body and had since seen him as its master. This branch was similar to the soul-returning branch and must not have been growing on the progenitor tree. At the thought of how incredibly strong the soul-returning branch was, this boundless branch would definitely be terrifyingly incredible. Wang Xian continued to look around and gather the treasures together enthusiastically. There were over 50 inborn spiritual weapon or even stronger weapons together with a ton of spiritual-grade metal. The materials required for upgrading the Dragon King Hall to level 2 were a ton of spiritual-grade metal and 10,000 spiritual stones. Now, he had finally gathered the metal required. The Dragon Field required 1,000 inborn spiritual weapons. There should be approximately 1 to 200 inborn spiritual weapons in the entire Fire God Palace. Wang Xian was exhilarated. He looked towards the side hall, and his lips curved into a smile. All these are mine. Wang Xian looked towards the middle of the main hall and found the girl and the fire demon lowering the spiritual cabinet into the depths of the lava. They were sending off the fire god. This, pretty. Wang Xian didn't know how to address her as he looked at her. He smiled and continued. Can I trouble you to bring all the treasures from the other 8 side halls to this place? At the same time, please instruct the fire demons to help me kill a few people. Huh. When the girl heard his request, she lifted her head, looked at him for a moment, and nodded her head. Great. Kill all the people from the nether flame. Thank you. Wang Xian chuckled, moved to the girl, and thanked her by clasping his right fist with his left palm. TSK. The girl seemed a little angry as she turned around and ordered the fire demon to start the purge. This was the Fire God Palace and the territory of the Fire God. Now that the Fire God Palace had a new master, those intruders should now be kicked out from the place. Chapter 481. 4 Wives. Run now. The fire god is infuriated. All the fire demons in the side halls are raging. They are not supposed to come out of the side halls, but now they are rushing out from them. On top of that, there are even more terrifying fire demons. I guess we have disturbed the spirit of the fire god for the past few days, such that all the fire demons in the fire god's graveyard are on a riot. The entire Fire Spirit Island was seething with all the 8 denominations who had entered Fire God Palace, rushing out in terror in the middle of the night. All the fire demons in the Fire God Palace were rampaging as they killed anyone they saw. It was utterly terrifying. There were more than thousands of fire demons, over 20 Dan realm fire demons, and a 10-meter, horrifying existence. With such a strength, it simply overwhelmed all 8 forces on the spot. All these fire demons were so frightening that they surpassed all the 8 denominations as a whole. God damn it. Why do these fire demons keep chasing us? Why? All the Nether Flame experts were appalled at the spot that Nether Flame denomination occupied. 4 Dan realm experts with over 40 inborn experts, marking half the strength of the denomination, were over there. Nether Flame denomination originated from Korea before it developed to a supreme class existence of Asia. Yet they were facing 8 Dan realm fire demons, assaults with horrifying looks. These Dan realm fire demons were extremely scary. Not only did they possess domineering defenses, but they also had the compelling flaming sledgehammers, which were daunting battle techniques. One fire demon could single out 3 to 4 Dan realm experts. Yet they were wanted by at least 7 Dan realm fire demons and hundreds of inborn fire demons. Desperation and fear shrouded them. Growl! While the group from Nether Flame fled desperately, the ground in front of them began to crack. 2 daunting Dan realm fire demons wriggled out from the underground lava, staring at them with murderous intent. Die! They let out a human voice and lurched at the Nether Flame gang. No! All of them let out agonizing shrieks. They were the first to discover Fire God's graveyard. Yet none of them had expected that they would be wiped out at this place. The entire Nether Flame strength was cut in half. Run, get out of here now. At the same time, the other 7 denominations were making their escapes in horror. They frantically scampered out of this hazardous land. After all, this is the grave of a god. We have interrupted his sleep and angered him. None of the average men can resist the rage of a god. One by one, the various forces fled out. They hovered in the air as they watched the fire spirit island, giving off a red glow while cold sweat broke out on their foreheads. Such compelling fire demons! When all the fire demons sprouted out of the entire fire god palace, Wang Xian could not help but gasp. Thousands of fire demons with inborn strength, more than 20 Dan realm fire demons, plus one budding realm fire demon. Such domineering strength was much more compelling than Dragon Sect. Wang Xian stared at those fire demons with flickering eyes before he turned to the girl who was surrounded by lava. Her fiery red hair was over her shoulder, forming a ravishing profile. Unfortunately, her perfect figure was wrapped in the scorching lava. Wang Xian rotated his pupils with flashing red and blue radiance. He sensed a death stare darting at him. Wang Xian blinked his eyes as he did not expect that she could sense his gaze. Help me gather my treasures. I'm taking a rest, and I'll be back tomorrow to collect it. Wang Xian smiled at her as he made his way to the exit. The girl gazed at Wang Xian blankly as she let out a sigh. So many experts around. When Wang Xian stepped out of the fire god palace, he scanned the surrounding experts that were hovering in the air. Surprise took over his eyes. There were about 400 experts, of which over a score of them were flitting in the air 1,000 meters above sea level. That marked the existence of the Dan realm. Given the strength of Dragon Sect, we could only be ranked as second tier if we compare ourselves to the foreign supreme class forces. The Dragon Sect that had brought upheaval to the underworld only had 50 inborn experts. Besides Wang Xian and the other girls, the most powerful Mo Qinglong had yet to advance to the Dan realm. Compared to the fire demons in the Fire God Palace, they were still a far cry away. Back at the renowned hotel in Dubai, Wang Xian was lying on his soft and comfortable bed. He had no worries about Fire God Palace, since the life of that girl, who was the successor of Fire God, was now in his control. Hence, none of the treasures would go missing. Sister, you actually obtained the Fire God's legacy. At this point in time, four young men looked at the girl with disbelief as they came into the main hall in the Fire God Palace. Brother, the Fire God Palace was the legacy of the Fire God right from the start, but the condition to inherit it was quite stringent. The girl looked at her brother and forced a smile on her face. Great, it's the Fire God Palace. Our reputation and power in Dubai will be greatly enhanced. No one in all of Asia will dare to provoke us, said the young man with shortness of breath and eager eyes. The fire demon will obey my commands, but I... As the girl spoke, she touched the hexastars at her belly and hesitated. What's wrong, sister? Oh, where is that powerful senior? The young man was looking around elatedly, failing to notice the strange look on his sister's face. He went back. He should be coming back tomorrow. The girl hesitated before she replied. Apart from the holy water scripture, all the treasures in this place belong to him. This, all for him? The young man looked around and nodded with heartache. The next morning, Wang Xian woke up and headed to the hotel restaurant in high spirits when a middle-aged man dressed in white, odd-looking attire walked over. Sir, this is for you. The middle-aged man must have been a Dubai native, as only the natives would wear such an outfit. Curiosity piqued as Wang Xian looked at the slim book that the middle-aged man handed over. Who gave this to me? Wang Xian took it over and had a look. By order, it's a secret. The middle-aged man shook his head slightly, bowed and took his leave. Wang Xian took the white-colored book to the restaurant, found a seat near the window and ordered his food. What is this shit? Dubai women prohibiting intimate contact with men as chastity is very important. The beauty of the girl can only be revealed in front of her most beloved person. The girls in Dubai are extremely loyal, while men can have 4 wives. Looking at the introduction of the book, Wang Xian was speechless with the nonsense. He flipped to the end of the book and discovered a signature. Sign off. Hertha Mohekabin Sesid Alajaya. The signature was even written in Chinese characters. Chapter 482. Surfing. The name of a foreigner is really long. Wang Xian chuckled upon seeing the name before leaving the white book at one side. The entire book had a detailed introduction to the females of Dubai, the rules of Dubai, and some rules that applied to the royalty. Wang Xian didn't know who Hertha Mohekabin Sesid Alajaya was, or the purpose of her sending him the white book. Could it be this is a trick from Mu Shaowan, the little brat? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and found this to be highly likely. At this moment, within the Fire God Palace on Fire Spirit Island. In just a night, the entire Fire God Palace had undergone huge changes. All areas that were damaged had returned to their original state after the lava flowed past them. A girl was sitting on the throne in the main hall. Her dressing today was completely different from the previous day. In her exquisite, fiery red dress, she personified nobility and a fire goddess. Her nobility and beauty made one want to look up to her. The first queen in history was just so. Below her, an old man in a white robe stood before the middle of the main hall. He looked at the girl on the elevated platform with surprise and solemnness. Ajaya, since you have made the decision, I won't be adding much. However, I hope you will remain and station yourself in Dubai. The old man in the middle looked at his daughter on the throne as he remarked, Rest assured, father, the Fire God Palace is still here and I won't be leaving. It wouldn't be convenient for the fire demons to leave this place either. Ajaya looked at her clanmates before looking up. Now this is the only option. Moreover, that guy is pretty strong and quite a nice guy. Ajaya looked at the clothes she was wearing. She had broken free from the constraints of her family completely. Perhaps this type of clothes is more in line with the general senses for aesthetics, she thought to herself. At the thought of the incident the previous night, her eyebrows knitted together and her face was flushed. Haze, you're really slow. I've been waiting for half an hour. When Wang Xian walked down from the hotel, he immediately spotted Mu Shaowan pouting and grumbling unhappily. Today's weather is a little cold. Let's find a place for a sunbath. Feeling the cool wind blowing, he teased her. How can you do this to me? I've been waiting for you for half an hour and even got my surfboard ready. When Mu Shaowan heard Wang Xian, she instantly felt wronged. She pointed to the surfboard beside her and was on the verge of tears. All right. Let's go surfing. Let's go surfing. Wang Xian immediately changed his words and stopped teasing her. That's better. I'll show you how great I am at surfing in a while. Mu Shaowan chuckled happily. Pointing to the surfboard, she said, Take that along. I'm too tired and you are a gentleman. Wang Xian smiled speechlessly. He turned to Tang Lingling and asked, Aren't you going to join? Perhaps not. I'm waiting for someone. Tang Lingling shook her head. Wang Xian nodded his head, carried the surfboard, and walked to the beach with Mu Shaowan. Let's go. The little brat carried her surfboard and went straight into the water. Mr. Wang, please help to take care of Shaowan, Tang Lingling reminded Wang Xian. After giving her a reassuring hand sign, Wang Xian picked up the surfboard and walked towards the water. Surfing was a popular sport overseas. There were lots of people surfing around them. There were people from both genders. Some moved up and down along the waves and looked extremely cool. Wang Xian had not surfed before. However, this didn't mean he wouldn't know how to. The truth was that all he had to do was to place the surfboard on the water, and he could move out like a rocket. Simple water manipulation would enable him to do so. Mu Shaowan, the little brat, lay on the surfboard and tried to paddle with her hands. One could easily tell she knew nothing about surfing and was simply playful. Wang Xian stepped onto the surfboard and moved with ease. What was a little frightening was that he was moving against the direction of the waves. Wang Xian controlled the surfboard and made a turn around that little brat. Haze, is this your level of skills? You can't make it. Wang Xian smiled and said, sarcastically, Wow, you are really good. Seeing how cool Wang Xian was when moving, Mu Shaowan was a little dumbfounded. I guess I'm still fine. Wang Xian chuckled joyously. As the incident of the Fire God Palace had ended, he could have a day or two of good rest before returning. Quick, teach me. I want to look as cool as you. Mu Shaowan exclaimed at Wang Xian. Come, let father teach you. Hold my arm. Wang Xian smiled and moved through the waves while holding her. This made Mu Shaowan extremely excited, and she even forgot about Wang Xian teasing her. Tang Lingling is here too. Just as Wang Xian and the little brat were playing, they saw Tang Lingling entering into the water with a few young men. Those are some of our friends in the country. Their families have businesses in Dubai. Look, one of them is even a big star. Mu Shaowan pointed and smiled. One of them is Sister Lingling's boyfriend. As for the rest, they are all perverts. I still have a month till I reach the legal age, and yet one of them tried to woo me. He should be given the death penalty. The little girl grumbled. Wang Xian chuckled. Now that you guys are living in Dubai, are your family businesses doing well? That gigantic mall, right, there was built from the investment from my family, Sister Lingling's family, and the families of those young men. We have invested over tens of billions into it. I'll bring you there tomorrow. If you come to Dubai in the future, follow me, and you will definitely get to eat the best food. The girl patted her flat chest and spoke proudly. This little girl was pretty cute, but her figure was bad. She was more lowly than a typical lowly. Brother, I saw that you are great at surfing a while ago. Come, should we go to deeper waters? For youths approached Wang Xian on their surfboards, and one of them spoke with a smile to Wang Xian. That's the pervert. Wang Xian could hear the little girl speaking softly and nodded his head with a smile. Come, brothers. A young man raised an eyebrow at him, and the other young man in front of Tang Lingling was clearly her boyfriend. There was another guy who was rather known and looked extremely gorgeous. In other words, he was a star from Korea who didn't have the capabilities to remain there. All right. Wang Xian didn't reject him. Xiao Wan, why don't you get on my surfboard? You must have heard about my skills. It would still be absolutely safe with the two of us, the young man with short hair said to Mu Shaowan. It's all right. I'll just go with this uncle. Uncle is pretty good too. Mu Shaowan looked at him and raised an eyebrow. What do you think? Just get up, my dear daughter. Scumbag, are you eager to die? When Mu Shaowan heard Wang Xian, she kicked him furiously right away. Wang Xian immediately grabbed her by her arms and put her into the water till the water was at her waist. If you are going to continue kicking, I'm going to release my hand. Scumbag. Again. Wang Xian loosened his grip. Wah. I'll stop. It's my fault. That's better. Come, let me bring you surfing. Wang Xian laughed loudly and pulled the 80-catty girl up. Beside them, the face of the young man with short hair instantly darkened upon seeing them. The young man beside Tang Lingling whispered softly into her ear, and she replied to him softly. Ha! Calling him daddy. How uncouth. The young man snorted. Tang Lingling rolled her eyes and remarked, He saved our lives and is the benefactor of Xiao Wan and I. Don't be rude. Chapter 483, Playing Dirty. Xiao Wan gets along with him very well. Even though they met only a few times, they were already bickering with each other. On their first encounter, Xiao Wan even asked him to call her mother. Perhaps it's because both of them were playing like nobody's business. Xiao Wan was more friendly to him, said Tang Lingling to the few people beside her with a smile as she watched Mu Shaowan sitting on the surfboard. Humph. The young man with a crew cut snorted as he cast a cold gaze over with a darkened expression. The rest of the youth chuckled with a curl of their lips. Let's go over with them. It'll be fun when the waves are here." The other two youths chuckled as they looked far out with their lips drawn. "Let's go and have some fun today." The young man with a crew cut revealed a sneer as he stepped on his surfboard gently and glided ahead. "Wow, let's go over there." "Over there," said Mu Shaowan, pointing ahead. She sat on the deck with excitement as she placed her arms in the water. "Sure, hold on to my thigh." Wang Xian laughed and made a dash. Surfing is an extreme sport that is considered to be dangerous. But it is all right if one does not go to the areas with deep waters and tumbling waves. As they tilted their boards slightly, Wang Xian and Mu Shaowan charged straight ahead. The waves over there could reach more than 4 meters high, sometimes even taller than 5 or 6 meters. Only the members of the surf club would dare to come to this location at the Dubai beach. Usual surfers would not dare to come to a place with such tall waves. Surfing is, indeed, an exciting sport. With a simple art of water maneuver, Wang Xian could control the stability of the surfboard. With the help of the waves, they charged forward directly. "Go! Let's go over there." Seeing the 2 huge waves ahead, he made a slight movement and dived under the huge waves. He had to move faster than the waves. If the waves were faster than them, they would be slapped by the waves. Ah! Upon seeing the huge waves above her head, Mu Shaowan exclaimed with excitement. She used her hands to flap at the water in an attempt to speed up the surfboard. Wang Xian looked down at her and found her funny. If there was a chance next time, he wanted to bring Xiao Yu and the rest here for some fun. Boom! Yeah. The huge wave splashed down while they passed through it, and the lass was screaming in thrills. Wang Xian chuckled. At this moment, however, he sensed a ball of seawater aiming at his face. He was taken aback a little as he lowered his body slightly. "Her? Well done, you lad. You are a good surfer." A doubtful voice was heard as Wang Xian whirled around to see Tang Lingling, her boyfriend, and the rest of them heading toward them. The one who spoke was the young man with a crew cut. He was staring at Wang Xian with astonishment. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. Of course, he may be ugly, but his surfing skills are still okay. Before Wang Xian could say anything, Mu Shaowan craned up her head on the surfboard as she spoke to the young man with a crew cut. As she spoke, she sized up the 4 young men. The 4 young men, including Tang Lingling's boyfriend and that young star, were obviously worse than Wang Xian in terms of appearance and disposition. When she said Wang Xian was ugly, her real intended meaning was that they were uglier. Haha! Without any mercy, Wang Xian placed his palm on top of her head and made an abrupt leap with the surfboard. "Ouch, do you want to die?" Mu Shaowan was startled as she hugged Wang Xian's thigh out of panic. Subsequently, she was so fuming that she bit his leg. "Is your Chinese zodiac sign a dog?" Wang Xian quickly pressed her head and glared at her. "If you dare to scare me, my zodiac would not be a dog, but a tiger." Mu Shaowan bared her teeth as she stared daggers at him. "Fine, don't bite me. I will not scare you if you say something nice," said Wang Xian. The face of the young man with a crew cut grew darker when he saw this. "There's another wave ahead. Let's go over." Seeing another huge wave rushing in, the young man with a crew cut curled the corner of his lips. With flickering radiance in his eyes, he suggested this to Wang Xian. "Sure." Wang Xian lifted his chin at the young man. "Then let's go." The young man with a crew cut spun his head around and looked at the other 2 young men. The duo nodded to him with a smile. "Charge!" Mu Shaowan let out an exciting scream. Tang Lingling's boyfriend exhibited a smile as he took Tang Lingling forward, putting some distance between them. Wang Xian controlled his direction. Following the waves, he watched the huge incoming wave. Behind him, the young man with a crew cut revealed a creepy smile. He steered to the side of Wang Xian easily. "You must protect Shaowan, otherwise I'll take you over," he said to Wang Xian. Wang Xian smiled and said nothing. Seeing the incoming 5-meter wave was just right ahead, he steered and headed for it. "Let's go!" the other 2 young men said in a relaxed tone from behind. "Charge!" Mu Shaowan cheered as she looked at the waves on top of their heads. "Who?" After the young man with a crew cut exchanged gazes with the other young men behind Wang Xian, he swung his arm, bringing about a gust of strong wind, aiming at Wang Xian's surfboard. The sudden wind was propelling Wang Xian towards the wave. Sensing the energy, Wang Xian arched the corner of his lips as he suddenly bent down and shouted to Mu Shaowan, "We're accelerating!" Boom! Just then, the wave, which was estimated to fall in another 2 seconds, suddenly slammed downward. With a thought, Wang Xian's surfboard accelerated and sped out as if he was stepping on the gas pedal in the car. Oh no! Damn! Before the 3 young men behind could spot Wang Xian, they felt the wave slamming down at them. They had a slight change in their expressions. With exploding momentum, they tried to flee. Given their strength, the wave would not knock them down. Boom! However, when the waves came down on them, it was as though a great force had hit them. The 3 of them were aghast as they were being thrown off into the sea just when they were about to flee. Seawater gushed into their mouths. Wang Xian drew his lips slightly as he continued to rush ahead. When that wave was over, Wang Xian halted and acted surprised as he looked behind. Her? Where are they? Her? Where did that trio go? Mu Shaowan was also stunned as she checked behind. Tang Lingling and her boyfriend also spun around in shock. There they are. They are climbing up the boards. Those 3 fellows were thrown off by the waves. Haha! As soon as Mu Shaowan caught 3 figures climbing onto their surfboards, she exclaimed loudly with an amused look, "Let's check them out." Wang Xian adjusted his direction and came to them while riding on the waves. "What? Don't follow us if your surfing skills suck. It would be embarrassing if you lost your life over here." Yes, yes. Such trash. Upon hearing the 2 scornful voices, the trio who had just climbed onto their boards were totally embarrassed. They spat out mouthfuls of blood with purplish faces. Chapter 484, Be My Husband. He's throwing up blood. His body is a little weak. Seeing them throwing up blood, Wang Xian spoke sarcastically. Mu Shaowan was surprised to see them throwing up blood and was taken aback slightly. Will they be fine? They will be fine. Why would they not be? I'm an incredible doctor and can tell from a single glance, other than their bodies being a little too weak. There's nothing wrong with them. Wang Xian shook his head. Mu Shaowan nodded her head, convinced. She had heard from the doctor after the accident previously. The young doctor that saved them was incredibly good. That's great. That's great. The 3 young men in the sea looked extremely gloomy. All of them glowered at Wang Xian in fury. What's the matter? Qingwen, Gaoyan, are you guys all right? Why did you guys fall into the sea? Tang Lingling's boyfriend was a little shocked and asked them curiously. We are fine. The 3 of them were shivering a little in anger as they climbed back onto the surfboards and wiped the seawater away from their faces. It's great that you guys are fine. Why would you guys fall into the water? The young man looked at the 3 of them, puzzled. Perhaps they are too trashy. Wang Xian chuckled, patted the girl's head, and said, Let's go. We're going back soon. As he spoke, he moved ahead and away while glancing at the 3 of them with contempt. Let's play for a little longer. Mu Shaowan said unwillingly, Count me out. If you want, you can ask the 3 of them to bring you along. Perhaps you could catch a few large sharks for dinner when you fall into the water. I don't want to go with them. Luckily, I did not agree previously. Otherwise, I'd be the one spewing blood. I don't want to do so. That's too gruesome. The 2 of them conversed as they moved away quickly. The 3 young men behind them were all martial artists. They could hear Wang Xian and Mu Shaowan clearly as their bodies shook a little in anger. The 3 of them clenched their fists tightly. When Tang Lingling's boyfriend witnessed what happened, he frowned and said, "Let's go back and get some rest." "Let's go back. When are we coming out to play again?" "Leave it to fate. I'll be returning home in 2 days." "Huh, so fast?" Mu Xiaowan lifted her head, stared at Wang Xian, and spoke unwillingly as she walked out of the water with Wang Xian. "I don't live here after all, and am here for a short trip. I can't be staying here for a long time." "Why not? Why don't you just stay behind? You can be my sugar baby. When I want to go surfing, you just have to bring me along. I'm not a man you could afford to keep." Wang Xian patted the girl's head, feeling a little speechless. "All right, go look for your sister Lingling. I have something to do." "Huh, where are you going? Bring me along?" The girl pulled his hand as she asked. "You can't go since you haven't reached the legal age." Wang Xian smiled and said to her, "TSK, guys like you." Mu Xiaowan looked at him with contempt. Wang Xian was speechless. After passing the surfboard to her, he said goodbye. The girl pouted and walked towards Tang Lingling, clearly looking disgruntled. Wang Xian returned to the hotel and changed into a new set of clothes, after which he moved and headed towards the direction of the Fire Spirit Island rapidly. When he arrived at the beach he was at the previous day, he realized that there were still lots of martial artists discussing. Nonetheless, a large portion of the people had left as compared to the previous day. With all the people from the Nether Flame perishing, all the other denominations were wary. They hesitated for a while before deciding to retreat for the moment. If they were to return, their gods would definitely be involved. These denominations were created by gods of their sects, or they still had existing gods. As to which denominations still had gods alive, no one really knew. Some might have passed away, or some might have aged. In modern times, there were few occasions where gods surfaced to the public eye. The only known god around was also the number 1 existence on the International Miracle Doctors chart. Hand of God, the one who was rumored to be able to revive a dead person. When Wang Xian arrived at the Fire Spirit Island, he realized the area had been surrounded by the soldiers of Dubai. He jumped and headed towards the main hall directly. Along the way, there were countless people in white robes. Wang Xian was able to avoid them easily. Among these people, there were still several experts. When Wang Xian entered the main hall, he immediately spotted a girl in a red dress on the throne in the main hall. Although the girl was sitting, one could still tell that she was tall and slender. On her red dress, flames vaguely flickered. The entirely red dress fully traced out her perfect figures. It looked a little like an evening gown, but looked more exquisite than one. On her head, she was wearing a flaming crown. She was like a goddess and a queen. What a huge transformation! That's like the ugly duckling turning into a beautiful swan. Wang Xian looked at the girl on the throne in shock. She was completely different from the girl he met yesterday. The previous night, she was totally covered and even wore a veil. No matter how stunning she was, no one could really tell. And today, her charm was fully on display. One had to admit that some girls would look extremely breathtaking with a little makeup. As for this girl, she was like a goddess with just a small change. He looked across the main hall and found various inborn spiritual weapons and treasures placed in the middle. Wang Xian couldn't help but feel satisfied. He looked towards the fiery red hammer in the middle. Beside it, there was a forging table. A forging table was a little similar to a blacksmith station. Only through continuous hammering would a piece of equipment be refined. Refining, elixir pills, and blacksmithing were completely different. Wand forging table, level 13. Wand forging hammer, level 13. SSS. When the information on the wand forging table and wand forging hammer appeared in Wang Xian's head, Wang Xian gasped. Level 13. Those are level 13 inborn spiritual items. Fire god Hephaestus was really incredible and insanely rich. There are probably few gods who were like him. Wang Xian sighed emotionally. Did you see the book I sent over in the morning? Ajaya lifted her head, placed the fire god's secret book aside, looked to Wang Xian and revealed a faint smile. What? Wang Xian was taken aback. You are a man with a sense of responsibility. Ajaya walked down from her throne gradually with a strong aura around her. It wasn't just the aura of an expert, but also the disposition of the royal family. What do you mean? Wang Xian raised an eyebrow and continued. The random book I got in the morning was from you? And the long string of words is your name? You can just call me Ajaya. Ajaya stared at him and continued. Our country is extremely traditional. It is especially so for my family. Moreover, my life is now in your hands. Therefore, Wang Xian looked curiously at her as she approached him. In her heels, she was a notch taller than him, and this made him feel a little embarrassed. Her lips were bright red. However, they weren't red because of lipstick, but simply because this was their natural color. Even the pupils in her eyes seemed a little red. Fire goddess, be my husband, and that way you can be responsible for my life. Chapter 485, Forced Marriage. Be my husband, and that way you can be responsible for my life. Ajaya's voice resonated in the main hall. She sounded calm as she stared straight into Wang Xian's eyes. Wang Xian was stupefied by her words. He found it unbelievable as he looked at Ajaya. What made it more embarrassing was he needed to look up at her, which was somewhat humiliating. Sorry, I have girlfriends. Wang Xian shook his head with a smile, yet he sized her up from head to toe. A foreign babe. The law in Dubai allows you to have 4 wives. It doesn't matter if you have girlfriends or are married, said Ajaya to Wang Xian with the least concern. Wang Xian was speechless upon hearing that. It was clearly indicated that men in Dubai can marry 4 wives in the book he read this morning. In addition, there was a lengthy note on how to treat their wives. That is, to be fair to every wife. For example, if one buys a bag for one wife, the other 3 wives must have a bag too. This is a legal requirement. Wang Xian arched his lips as he scrutinized her from head to toe. Given the situation now, your life is in my hands. This is not as simple as having a wife. There's another kind of relationship which is not bad. A maid. Wang Xian chuckled and waved a dismissive hand. But I have no interest in maids, nor do I have an interest in a wife. I'm content with all these treasures. Oh, and the fire god's secret book. Actually, he wanted to call Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingwe and check if he could bring a wife back. But it was just a passing thought. He knew the consequences, as a fire in the backyard is not something fun. Hence, he should not have the least bit of greed in him. No way. If you die, I'll die with you. I don't want to leave my fate to a stranger. I don't want to die without any knowledge, said Ajaya coldly as she continued to stare into his eyes. First, I'm the one who saved your life, your benefactor. Wang Xian frowned at her. And this is my gratitude. Ajaya looked at him with passionate eyes. I don't need such gratitude. You won't lose out even if I marry you. My girlfriends won't agree to it. Both of them were glaring at each other. Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders at her. He spun around, headed for the treasures, picked up the wand forging hammer, and examined it. Then you can tell your girlfriends to agree if they want you alive. Ajaya suddenly made a comment from behind. Wang Xian was slightly stunned as he cast a glance in the direction of the 9 halls where Dan realm fire demons were striding towards him. The budding realm blackie that had been staying in the main hall was staring at him with his pitch-black eyes. He raised his eyebrows as he stared at Ajaya. You're playing with fire. If you dared to kill me, you couldn't leave this place either. Ajaya smiled as she looked at the fire demons around her. I never expected that I'd be forced to get married someday. But marriage does not mean it can resolve everything. Wang Xian touched his face slightly as he remarked in a self-deprecating way. I believe in my charm. Ajaya gave a confident smile. You're good, but you can't force it on me. I might as well consider you being a slave to me. Wang Xian did not want to continue the discussion with Ajaya. This was the most absurd thing he'd encountered today. A foreign babe is forcing me to marry her, and she's somewhat beautiful. Yet, he could not even get mad at this sort of thing. I'll leave my treasures with you for now. Get me a vessel and I'll leave in 2 days, said Wang Xian to Ajaya. If you don't agree to it, you can never leave Dubai. Ajaya replied confidently. You. Wang Xian pointed his finger at her as he walked to her side. Ajaya looked at him, plainly with a slight curving of her lips. With some amusement in his eyes, Wang Xian had a thought. Instantly, tremendous changes happened to Ajaya. The faint red glow on Ajaya suddenly turned into a blue shade. With blue eyes and skin glowing in blue radiance, the fuming fiery girl transformed into a gentle and mild water-like woman. Wang Xian wanted to pinch her, but she dodged it. Haha, let me feel what it is like to be at grade 9 of fire and ice. Wang Xian chortled as Ajaya suddenly became changed from a fiery red to blue-like water. The transformation just tickled him. The confidence diminished from Ajaya's face as she stared at Wang Xian lividly. Given her current state, there was no way she could fight back except to glower at Wang Xian. Haha, babe, don't act snobbish. You better behave in front of me. Otherwise, haha, get me a boat and I'll leave in 2 days. Be good. Wang Xian chucked and headed outside. Ajaya recovered herself with flames rising from her body. She stared at the spot where Wang Xian had disappeared with a mixed expression. Perhaps I should imprison you or tie you by my side, otherwise. Damn, I'm actually being forced into marriage for the first time in my life. On top of that, she threatened me with her life. Luckily, she's not an ugly woman. Wang Xian walked out of the fire god palace, shaking his head. If he wanted to leave this place, no one could stop him. Not even Ajaya or that fire demon. But my treasures are still inside the fire god palace. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows as he came to a restaurant to enjoy his delicacies and the sea breeze. While he was enjoying his carefree, sunny time in the afternoon, a babe actually chatted him up. Wang Xian could not help but admire his own charm. If not for his attractiveness, that Ajaya would not force him to marry her. Lingling, Shaowan, there will be a business convention in the ballroom of the most luxurious hotel in Dubai. Isn't your friend staying over there? We can invite him over. Back at a tea shop by the beach, Tang Lingling's boyfriend suggested this to her, and Mu Shaowan with a smile. Yes, since Uncle also stays in this hotel, we can invite him to that boring business convention. My mum even wanted to invite him and show her appreciation for him. Nice, we can have some food after the business convention, said Xiaowan excitedly as soon as the young man completed his sentence. Sounds good. Tang Lingling also nodded in agreement. Why not? There will be some heavyweight figures in this business convention, including some who came from Dubai. The young man said with a smile. Who cares? It has nothing to do with us, anyway. I'm just checking it out over there. Mu Shaowan dismissed it and spoke without the slightest concern. The young man chuckled and exchanged gazes with the other 3 men beside him. A hint of coldness surfaced in his eyes. Today they were humiliated and scorned. He would realize the consequences of doing so soon. Chapter 486, Business Convention. Why are you thinking of dragging me to a business convention? Wang Xian felt speechless when he received a phone call from that little brat in the afternoon. I'm doing this for you. I'm afraid you will be bored at night when you're alone. All right. You can stop here. Just tell me your room number, and I will go look for you when the time is right. My mum is still thinking of inviting you over for dinner to thank you for saving Sister Lingling and I. After the business convention has ended, we can all have dinner together. The little brat rattled on. Wang Xian thought about it for some time before agreeing. Since he was touring around, it didn't matter where he toured. Let's go. Slightly before 6 p.m., the doorbell rang. When Wang Xian opened the door of his room, he saw the brat in a lovely dress. Let's go. It's on the 17th floor of the hotel. I'm bringing you to see beautiful ladies. The little brat pulled his hands and spoke with a smile. Wait a minute. Let me change into different attire. Wang Xian put on his shoes, put on his jacket, and asked, What kind of business convention is this? What are we doing there? I hope it won't be boring. It should be fine. All the food and drinks are free. Moreover, the hotel has great facilities. Let's go, let's go. Stop asking. The little brat hurried him and said, There will be lots of people coming today. Just the beautiful ladies you will see today will be worth the trip. Let me say this in advance. If it isn't interesting, I'm going to come back and sleep. Wang Xian chuckled before following her to the main banquet hall of the business convention. TSK. The little brat pouted in dissatisfaction at Wang Xian. This is a large-scale business convention, and all the people who are here are businessmen from all over the world and have invested in Dubai. It isn't a particularly formal occasion and could be seen as a platform for interaction. There are also lots of wealthy families and members of the noble races from Dubai attending it. Mu Xiaowan was born into a family with great conditions. Although she might seem playful, she still knew a lot after being immersed in the environment. While wearing the white dress, she looked more demure and could be considered to be a pretty girl. Mu Xiaowan entered the place with her invitation card. When they entered, they noticed that there were lots of people who had arrived before them. This was slightly different from the banquet back at home. In this place, most of the guys had a female companion with them. It was so for this business convention. All the middle-aged and old men here had young female companions beside them. There were people from Euramerica and also from Asia. How is it? Aren't there lots of beautiful ladies here? Mu Xiaowan said softly to Wang Xian. I'm not here to look at girls. Wang Xian looked around. It was a boring banquet, but there was lots of food. There were also all kinds of beverages available. Let's go. Let me bring you to see my mum. My mum was still talking about thanking you personally last night. Mu Xiaowan pulled Wang Xian along as they walked deeper into the hall. At that place, 7 to 8 middle-aged and old men sat around and were conversing happily. Mom, this is the uncle that saved us previously. Mu Xiaowan walked towards a rather slim but capable-looking lady as she shouted. The lady had short hair. Huh. Mu Xiaowan's mother was taken aback and stood up immediately, after which she explained to the rest. Xiaowan, this is the uncle you spoke about. He's at most a few years older than you. When Mu Xiaowan's mother saw Wang Xian, she looked him in the eyes and extended her hand with a smile. Thank you, son, for saving my daughter previously. Since you are in Dubai, just ask Xiaowan to bring you around. If you are free, drop by and I'll make some home-cooked food for you. Mu Xiaowan's mother was an intelligent lady. She thanked Wang Xian politely with a radiant smile. After exchanging some words, Mu Xiaowan brought Wang Xian to a rather empty corner. Let's wait for Sister Lingling and the rest here. Mu Xiaowan brought some fruits with her. If you want alcohol, you have to get it yourself. My mum doesn't allow me to drink alcohol yet. The little brat looked more like a demure lady while sitting here as she spoke to Wang Xian. All right. Wang Xian nodded his head. Soon after, more and more people entered the hotel. Standing near the glass windows, they could see the sea view of the country. Although some were discussing some collaborations, this group of businessmen was still appreciative of the scenery. Moreover, those who were here were the cream of the crop. Those with less than $1 billion in assets, or even $10 billion in assets, would probably not be qualified to enter this place. Sister Lingling and the rest are here. Mu Xiaowan waved her hands towards the entrance. There were 4 guys and 2 girls. Other than Tang Lingling and her boyfriend, the rather well-known star also came with a female companion. Look, that's Yang Zhe's girlfriend. She's also a star, but isn't well known in the country. Don't be rude. Mu Xiaowan reminded Wang Xian. I don't recognize them. Wang Xian took a glance and spoke with contempt. Are you those who intentionally spread rumors about stars? Seeing how Wang Xian had reacted, Mu Xiaowan joked with him. It's really boring here. I might as well go back and sleep. You. Mu Xiaowan gave him a glare. Let me get Yang Zhe to introduce you to a few small stars. Forget about small stars. Even if they are superstars, I'm not interested. Wang Xian chuckled. Teasing this little brat from time to time was also rather interesting. Xiaowan, you guys are rather early. The group of young men walked over and sat beside them. They smiled as they observed Wang Xian and Mu Xiaowan. It's you guys that are late. Mu Xiaowan asked Tang Lingling to sit beside him. Turning her attention to Yang Zhe, she asked, Superstar Yang Zhe, why didn't you bring a few more beautiful female stars along? I could have introduced them to this uncle. Hee, I don't know many female stars. That young man smiled at Mu Xiaowan before turning to Wang Xian. With a cold smirk, he said, Moreover, these stars aren't people anyone can hope to get into contact with. If you can find such a beautiful sister, our uncle wouldn't do any worse. Uncle is much better looking than you. Mu Xiaowan was direct and didn't hold back her words like a child. Hey, sister, you can't just look at the appearance for a guy. You have to consider his manners, upbringing, and other things. The reason why Yang Zhe has so many fans is also because of his personality. The beautiful girl that was with Yang Zhe commented. Mu Xiaowan smiled, patted Wang Xian's shoulders, and said, I'll find you a first-class female star to be your girlfriend in the future. Wang Xian chuckled. What's the use of a star? A princess would be better. All right then, I'll get you a little princess. Mu Xiaowan chuckled. Hey brother, there should be a limit to boasting. May I ask what business your family is in? The young man with short hair looked at Wang Xian with contempt as he questioned him. You gotta find a pretty princess for me. I'm a picky person. Wang Xian didn't pay attention to the young man with short hair at all as he continued, joking with Mu Xiaowan. This made the young man with short hair extremely gloomy as he smiled, embarrassed. Chapter 487, A Setup. Some of the friends from Dubai are here. At about 7, a group of people arrived at the ballroom in white and black robes with neatly combed beards. There were young and middle-aged men. Behind them stood a group of ladies wearing black robes without their faces veiled except for Shayla. The colors were distinctive. When the group arrived, many people from the ballroom crowded over. Several young men in white and ladies in black stalked over with beaming faces. Come over, ladies and gentlemen. Several young men waved passionately at them. Hey, it looks like we're late. They came over, sat beside them, and replied to them while smiling. No, you're not. We came early, but we just had some boring chats. Shall we have some fun later? Tang Lingling's boyfriend was having a warm chat with them. Sure, no problem. I'm bored, lass. Wang Xian, who was bored seeing them exchanging conversations, told Mu Xiaowan, Why don't I introduce you to some Dubai girls? What do you think? Mu Xiaowan suddenly brightened up her eyes and whispered to him, You can settle down here and marry 4 wives. 4. The thought of it is thrilling, isn't it? I already have 2 girlfriends now. Why do I care about which country I'm in? Wang Xian chuckled as he spoke. It's an exotic taste. Don't you think it's a different world with foreign babes? Mu Xiaowan raised her eyebrows at him. Xiaowan, come over here. I want you to meet some people. At this time, Mu Xiaowan's mother beckoned her out of the blue. Yes, Mum. Mu Xiaowan was dispirited instantly as she looked at Wang Xian. Don't go away. I'll be right back. My mum is simply too bothersome. She has been introducing friends to me here and wants me to go to school over here, she muttered as she got up and walked over. Lingling, let's have a dance in the center. At this time, Tang Lingling's boyfriend cast a glance at Mu Xiaowan and the young men beside him. Then he pouted his lip and brought Tang Lingling away. Haha. The remaining 3 young men exchanged smirks with a hint of coldness. Liang Liang, take this phone and film it. What? Film what? As soon as they took their leave, Yang Zhe fished out his phone with his lips curled as he instructed the female companion beside him. This brat is such a nuisance. He embarrassed Qingwen, Gaoyang, and me. Besides, Qingwen was pissed at the sight of him. I want you to film what happens later on. I'll make sure he's a laughingstock even abroad. And I want all the people back in China to know about it. Yang Zhe curled his lips slightly. Performing such means was as easy as the ABCs for him. He cast a glance at Gao Yang and Qingwen with a teasing look. The short-haired Qingwen gestured an OK sign. He then turned and muttered to a Debayan girl beside him with a beaming face. Sure. That girl revealed a bright smile. There was a trace of a teasing smirk when she looked at Wang Xian. Yang Zhe, Qingwen, and Gao Yang rested on the sofa and watched with a playful look. Hi, handsome. How are you? After Mu Xiaowan left, Wang Xian was playing on his phone out of boredom when he heard a sudden voice. He craned his neck up and was astounded to see a Dubai girl in a black robe. Hi, what's up? Nothing. I saw you alone with your phone. Are you that bored? Asked the girl with a broad smile. Yes, a little. Wang Xian put his phone away out of courtesy. Shall we have a dance over in the middle of the ballroom? Said the girl with a smile. No, I don't know how to dance. It's okay. Wang Xian was taken aback. According to the white book given to him by Ajaya, the Dubai ladies did not get intimate contact with anyone, in particular strangers. What's with the difference here? It's rude to turn a girl down. The girl was slightly stunned as she spoke, smilingly. I'm really sorry. Wang Xian shook his head. The girl before him was not pretty at all. Besides, he noticed a bunch of people watching them with a playful look. He stood up to change his seat. Her. That girl frowned and reached out to grab his arm. Wang Xian raised his eyebrow, looked down, and caught her arm. He peered over his shoulder at the 3 young men with disdain in his eyes. You bunch of scumbags. Let me go. Upon seeing Wang Xian grabbing onto her clothes, she pulled away from him with force. Ist. She was apparently stronger than the average person, as her sleeves were ripped off straight away. Brat, are you seeking your doom? How dare you be so touchy over here? Seeing such a situation, the 3 young men stood up immediately and threw him death stares. Apparently, the other young men in white robes were not that surprised as they stared at Wang Xian with ridicule. Have you filmed it? Asked Yang Zhe to the female companion beside him. Yes, no audio. From this angle, accompanied by some cuttings and lead-in. This shows exactly how he was trying to take advantage of that girl. That female star said with a broad smile. Great. Later I'll get my manager to look for a media outlet for some publicity. This will certainly disgrace him to the max. Yang Zhe, he should count himself unlucky to provoke you guys. Yes, acting brazenly in our territory is as good as seeking death. Molesting and disrespecting our friend here. Brat, you're insolent, huh? Exclaimed Qingwen as he pointed his finger coldly at Wang Xian. How dare you commit this kind of thing over here? Looks like your nose is up in the air. Several Dubai friends stood up and sneered at Wang Xian. Arrest him and throw him into the cell for a few days. This kind of person is a disgrace to us. They were bawling at Wang Xian. That girl seemed to be shaking in her shoes with her head lowered, clutching onto the sleeves at her arm where it was torn. That look of hers obviously looked like Wang Xian had bullied a Dubai girl. A setup. Wang Xian looked coldly at the crowd who had been staring at him. The 3 young men curled their lips. Such a disgrace to us. Little did we expect you would do such a thing. People like you should be taught a lesson and let everyone know your true nature. Her? What's going on? What happened? At this time, some of the surrounding people overheard the commotion and popped over with curiosity. The ballroom was huge, and there were over 300 guests in it. Many of them asked around as they were attracted by the commotion. "This fellow was touchy to my friend," said Qi Yingwen to the spectating crowd with a cold face as he pointed to Wang Xian. Chapter 488. Princess and Prince. What? You dare to go against the rules and cause a disturbance here? When the surrounding crowd heard the young man with short hair, they were astonished and looked towards Wang Xian. "You came to our country and won't show respect to the ladies here." A rather plump Dubai lady walked over and stared at Wang Xian coldly. "Hey, brat, you are a little too brazen. Get the security of the hotel over. Call the police and lock him up for a few days, after which deport him back to his country and ban him from ever stepping into our country again. He must be courting death to create a disturbance and bully the ladies of our country." Some Dubai citizens chanted angrily and stared at Wang Xian as though he was their common enemy. As for the rest, they simply went along with these furious people. Dubai was an exceptionally traditional country. A foreigner being touchy and not following their rules had undoubtedly encroached on their bottom lines. Wang Xian frowned upon seeing the crowd staring and chiding him. He stared coldly at the group before him and said, "Do you guys know that you are playing with fire?" "Brat, you are the one that's playing with fire. How dare you be rude here and attempt to molest others? You must be courting death, and you're embarrassing yourself. A person like you shouldn't travel overseas and bring shame to your country. Moreover, a person like you will be looked down on by others in your country." Qi Yingwen smirked and commented sarcastically as he stared at Wang Xian. "What's the matter?" All the people in the banquet hall were looking over. When Mu Shaowan saw them, she immediately ran over. "What's that matter, uncle? What happened?" shouted the little brat as she squeezed through the crowd. "Nothing. Just a few damned brats who are trying to frame me." Wang Xian revealed a chilling smile as he replied to Mu Shaowan. "Frame you? Who's framing you? You are the touchy one and even wanted to pull me out for a dance. When I rejected you, you resorted to violence and even tore my clothes apart." That girl that had been lowering her head all along now had tears in her eyes as she stared and shouted at Wang Xian. "Bastard! How dare you bully the ladies of our country?" When the girl completed her words, another young man roared at Wang Xian furiously. Could this be a misunderstanding? Mu Shaowan looked at the girl, turned to the furious crowd, and asked this. She was clearly flustered. "A misunderstanding? Shaowan, you can never really tell one's true nature. You have only known this guy for 2 days, but we have seen with our own eyes that this guy was touchy with the lady." Gao Yang said to Mu Shaowan, "That's right. Shaowan, you should stay away from people like him." Qi Yingwen also interrupted. His eyebrows were lifted slightly as he remarked emotionlessly, "It can't be. Uncle wouldn't do such things." Mu Shaowan shook her head forcefully, lifted her head and looked at Wang Xian. At one side, Mu Xiaowan's mother frowned. The middle-aged and old men that were sitting around her were also baffled. After all, Wang Xian was from the same country as them, and he had embarrassed them here. Get the security of the hotel here to contain him, after which, call the police and get him away. Ban him from entering Dubai forever. He's embarrassing us. A middle-aged man shouted harshly at Wang Xian. "That's right. Get the security and ban him from ever entering our Dubai." A rather influential Dubai citizen glowered at Wang Xian and remarked, "I feel that there's a need to investigate the matter clearly. My friend wouldn't commit such acts." Mu Shaowan looked around and shouted loudly. Her eyes were a little red. As she lifted her head and looked at Wang Xian, she said, "Uncle, please explain to them. I don't believe you would do such things." "There's no need to explain." Wang Xian smiled at Mu Shaowan and killing desire flashed in his eyes. He lifted his head slightly and looked across the crowd. Eventually, His gaze fell on the group before him. I don't care where we are. If you guys are framing me, all of you deserve death. Deserve death? How brazen! How can you still be so brazen after being caught red-handed in the act? I really wonder who's giving you the guts. Tang Lingling's boyfriend stood beside her and said to Wang Xian with contempt. Tang Lingling was frowning, but didn't say a word. Security, take this arrogant guy away and issue a deportation order. Ban him from ever stepping in. An old man from Dubai looked at the brazen Wang Xian and shouted loudly. Yes, yes. As one of the most elite hotels, the security personnel had arrived after hearing about the incident. They nodded their heads at the old man. Wang Xian smirked and pulled his arm away from the little brat. Killing intent welled up within him. What's the matter? At this moment, a voice reverberated from the entrance. Everyone was taken aback and turned around curiously. That's... Everyone gasped in shock. That's Prince Adalin and Princess Ajaya. Why are they here? Why are the prince and princess here? When the crowd saw them at the entrance, they were astonished. I heard that Prince Adalin was conferred as the crown prince suddenly, while Princess Ajaya was appointed to supervise. Currently, Prince Adalin is taking over some matters. He's probably here today to get to know us. He's the one we really need to keep a good relationship with in the future. Princess Ajaya possesses unprecedented special rights currently. Even her costumes aren't restricted by the rules. We have to leave a good impression on Prince Adalin later. The surrounding crowd whispered while the crowd from Dubai stepped ahead and greeted their prince. Seeing a few familiar figures approaching, Wang Xian released the aura around him and smiled. What's happening? Adalin frowned and asked upon seeing a few security personnel holding weapons. A foreign brat was rude to our female citizen. We are getting the security to send him away before deporting him, an old man answered while lowering his body. Who dares to kick up a ruckus here? Ban him from ever entering our country. Adalin replied solemnly. Yes, Prince. It's our honor to meet our prince and princess today. The old man moved aside and gestured to the prince and princess to move in. Who's the guy who is causing trouble? Adalin lifted his head and looked towards where the crowd had gathered. Shit, the prince and princess are here. Now that this guy has caused such a ruckus, the prince won't have a good impression of us. This brat really deserves death. An old man beside the mother of Mu Xiaowan commented softly with a heavy expression. The other few middle-aged and old men weren't particularly happy either. Gao Yang, Qing Wen, and the other young man also frowned. The incident today was blown a little out of proportion. Nonetheless, it didn't matter. The bigger it got, the worse the outcome would be for that brat. For example, the national press might be reporting that this embarrassing foreigner attempted to molest a female citizen of Dubai on a banquet attended by the Prince and Princess of Dubai. He would definitely be deported and would not be forgiven. Chapter 489. 4 Desperate Men. When they thought of the headlines, that bunch of young men revealed faint smiles. The brat who embarrassed them would be doomed for messing with them. They stared at Wang Xian with disdain in their eyes. With a similar smile, Wang Xian swept his gaze across those young men as he wondered if they could still smile later on. This is it. When the Dubai crowd escorted Adalin and Ajaya over, an old man pointed to Wang Xian and was ready to introduce him. Before he could finish his sentence, Prince Adalin and Princess Ajaya stalked toward him. I always heard that Prince Adalin hates injustice to the core. Will he strike? I guess not. The prince knows his limits. The old man had two thoughts to himself as he followed them closely. As soon as the spectators spotted Prince and Princess, they immediately gave way and looked at Wang Xian. This fellow is finished. Everyone shared the same thought. Mu Xiaowan grabbed Wang Xian by his arm with tension. Adalin came to Wang Xian, unsure of how to address him. Suddenly, he thought of the things his sister told him. With a broad smile, he said, "Brother-in-law, what a coincidence!" Wang Xian was stunned, and his face stiffened. He was not expecting Adalin to call him brother-in-law right when he saw him. Damn! Who's your brother-in-law? Wang Xian could not help but swear at Adalin as he turned to Ajaya with a frown. Damn! Upon hearing the crude conversation between Prince Adalin and Wang Xian, everyone was stunned with confusing looks. The capitalized word damn seemed to have collapsed upon them as they felt lost and unreal. Were they hallucinating? What's the situation now? Interesting. Did you just molest someone? Ajaya looked at Wang Xian before turning to the girl beside him with a faint smile. Accompanied by the crown on her head, she looked extremely noble. Wearing a crown that symbolized royalty in public was an obvious indicator of the domineering status of Princess Ajaya in the royal family. Stop being sarcastic. Wang Xian was uncomfortable, seeing her taunting look. You knew I was here. Everything you do is under my surveillance, Ajaya chuckled as she said frankly. So, you can forget about running away. Wang Xian stared at her with a frown as he was not in the mood for answering her. He spun around and looked at the Dubai lady. Coldly he said, "Did you see? This is the Princess of Dubai. She's begging me to marry her, and I didn't even agree to it. Look at yourself. With your looks, do you think I would molest you? Who do you think you are?" Wang Xian stupefied that girl and all the surrounding people with his words. What the fuck is this going on? In particular, the conversation Wang Xian had with Princess Ajaya and the last thing he said struck everyone with dizziness. Their princess had pleaded for him to marry her, yet he had refused. All of them found it unbelievable. They immediately turned to Princess Ajaya, only to realize that she was glowering at Wang Xian. The way she looked like a little woman. Fuck. At this time, they recalled the first sentence that Prince Adalin had said to that young guy. Brother-in-law. A middle-aged man could not help but hold onto the leaves in the pot of a decoration plant. The shock could not be subsided even by holding on to a pot of plants. That Dubai girl did not know what to do as she looked at Wang Xian. She looked up and saw Princess Ajaya staring back at her. Gao Yang, Qing Wen, Yang Zhe, and Tang Lingling's boyfriend parted their big mouths as they were appalled by what they saw. Why? Keeping quiet? Speak up now. With your looks, who do you think you are for me to molest you? Seeing the girl, keeping mum, Wang Xian glared at her coldly. The girl got freaked out by what was happening to her. She panicked, not knowing what to do. I knew everything without you telling me. Wang Xian let out cold laughter as he swept his gaze across Gao Yang, Qing Wen, and the rest of the young men. All of you are setting me up here. What a pity. I wanted to slaughter you guys right away. That Prince Adalin. Someone is trying to frame me, and they are your citizens. How are you settling this? Sensing that Wang Xian was staring at him, Adalin gave a bitter smile. He knew Wang Xian's ability, and his sister's life was in the control of his hands. They might be a family in the future. With a darkened expression, Adalin looked to that girl. Speak now. If I find out the truth myself, you'll pay a heavier price. Prince, not me. It was him. He made me do it. She pointed at a young Dubai man. No, Prince. I'm sorry. They were the ones who asked me to find someone to frame that young man to disgrace him. I'm in the wrong, Prince. I confess. When the girl pointed to him, that young man quickly replied in trepidation. A friend had asked him for a favor, so he agreed without any hesitation. However, he had never expected that the man he was dealing with was the one the princess was marrying, the brother-in-law of the prince. He had landed himself in deep shit. He confessed as he trembled, pointing to Gao Yang and Qing Wen. The confession of the young Dubai guy washed away the glow on the faces of Qing Wen, Gao Yang, and the rest instantly. Several middle-aged men and elders beside Mu Xiaowan's mother were stunned. The middle-aged man, who had accused Wang Xian of being a disgrace, paled. Qing Wen was his son. Gao Yang's father was among the 4 people too. Bring down their families and companies in Dubai, Wang Xian said directly as he looked at the 4 young men, and eventually stopped at Adalin. Hearing his straightforward words, Adalin twitched his mouth, but still nodded. Sure, don't worry, brother-in-law. I won't let them off. They'll be banned from Dubai in the future. Wang Xian and Prince Adalin's words had sent chills to Qing Wen, Gao Yang, and Yang Zhe. Their fathers were breaking out in cold sweat on their foreheads. Prince Adalin, Qing Wen's father was about to beg for his mercy when he looked at Prince Adalin with consternation. Their family had already moved and settled down in this empire. Shut up. Your sons set someone up. As a parent, your sin is unforgivable. Before Prince Adalin could say anything, the old man beside him immediately bawled at him. He knew very well of Princess Ajaya's current status. How dare someone set the future husband of Princess Ajaya up? Even if you were a family of royalty, you would have to count yourself unlucky, let alone some outsiders. That middle-aged man paled, with cold perspiration rolling down. Wang Xian, can you give my boyfriend another chance? Sensing her boyfriend trembling, Tang Lingling pleaded with her eyes red. Wang Xian lifted his chin to look at her. Not only will they not be able to stay behind here, but they will also not survive back in their country. He's not getting away. Chapter 490. Final Outcome. Not only will they not be able to stay behind here, but they will also not survive back in their country. He's not getting away. A cold voice reverberated in the banquet hall. When Tang Lingling heard Wang Xian, she was stunned and her face instantly paled. Mu Xiaowan stared blankly as she witnessed the development. She lifted her head and looked at Wang Xian before turning to Yang Zhe, Gao Yang, and Qing Wen, who were flabbergasted and horrified. In the end, her gaze fell on Princess Ajaya and Prince Adalin. Suddenly, she had a newfound admiration for Wang Xian. Sir, our kids are ignorant. Please allow us to apologize on their behalf. We are from the same country, and we hope you can let us off this time. Gao Yang's father stepped forward and pleaded with Wang Xian in desperation. Wang Xian's cold gaze glanced past him and fell on the girl of Yang Zhe. He walked directly at her and demanded, "Hand me the phone." "Ah, here you go." The girl was horrified and her hands were shaking as she handed the phone over to him. "Not bad. You have even recorded everything. Could it be that you're thinking of editing it and uploading it on the web?" Wang Xian saw the video on the phone, stared at Yang Zhe, and remarked sarcastically, "No, not at all." Yang Zhe shook his head immediately. Cold sweat had broken out on his forehead. Wang Xian chuckled sarcastically as he looked across the young men and the middle-aged and old men beside them. "Scram! Please leave." Just as Wang Xian completed his words, the old man from Dubai ordered them coldly. "Based on the actions of you guys, we will pursue the matter in the future. In addition, all of you are banned from ever stepping into Dubai." The group was exceptionally pale and was a little out of sorts by this moment. At this moment, a few security personnel stepped ahead and stared at them coldly. The 4 young men, together with their female companions and fathers, were brought out of the banquet hall. After seeing the video on the phone, Wang Xian made a call to Mo Yuan. After telling him the names, he left the rest for Mo Yuan to handle. The 4 young men had dared to try to frame him. Their purpose for this video was clearly to further discredit him. If he did not have the strong backing he did, he wouldn't know how he would have turned out. Since he had such strength now, the outcomes for them wouldn't be what they had expected. Can we sit down and have a chat? As for the rest, please carry on. I'll look for each of you in a while. Adalin looked at Wang Xian as he spoke, after which he spoke to the crowd behind him. "All right, we will be waiting patiently, my prince." As the businessmen left, they couldn't help but be surprised and impressed by Wang Xian. From the attitude of their prince, they could tell that their prince was reserved and even a little fearful towards this young man. This made them astonished. Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and went over to sit down. Ajaya sat beside him, while Adalin sat directly opposite to him. "Greetings, princess and prince." Mu Shaowan looked curiously at the prince and princess and greeted them fearfully. "Hello." Adalin and Ajaya looked at Mu Shaowan, smiled and nodded their heads. "This is a friend of mine in Dubai. Her family has business in this place. If you can, please help her out in the future." Wang Xian caressed the head of the little brat and said to them, "Sure, since she's a friend of brother-in-law, she's also a friend of ours. Girl, if there's anything you require help with in the future, you can always look for me," Adalin replied with a smile. "You sure aren't reserved. It seems like you have accepted your identity." Ajaya turned and looked at Wang Xian as she questioned him calmly. "What identity?" Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile as he continued. "Have you prepared the ship I told you about? Marry me, and everything is negotiable. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave Dubai. I'm clearly aware of whatever you do in Dubai and every meal you have here." Ajaya looked at Wang Xian and smiled. "You can forget about this. If I wanted to leave this place, you wouldn't be able to stop me." Wang Xian gulped down a cup of red wine confidently. "We shall see about that." Ajaya lifted another cup of red wine. Her long, slender fingers were round the cup as she smiled and gave a toast to Wang Xian. Mu Shaowan was dumbfounded as her eyes widened while witnessing what was happening. She couldn't contain her curiosity. She pulled Wang Xian's arms and asked softly, "Uncle, what's happening?" "He's going to abandon me after making use of me." Ajaya clearly could hear Mu Shaowan and replied plainly, "Huh, you. I had not expected you to be a guy like this. You are really a beast." Mu Shaowan was shocked to hear Ajaya's reply, after which anger engulfed her as she held onto Wang Xian's clothes furiously and growled, Hey, don't believe what she has said. Don't tell me you don't believe what I've said. I would rather believe the words from the princess than you. All guys are bad, and indeed you aren't an exception. TSK, I'm looking down on you. Mu Shaowan pointed her middle finger at him. Ajaya couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Scumbag, you are really a scumbag. It's over. Our Gao family is through. I'm so going to screw you over." Outside the hotel, the fathers of the 4 young men pointed furiously and started to scold their sons the moment they stepped out of the hotel. "He's the man of the princess of Dubai. We have invested billions in Dubai. Now all this is gone. Just be ready to go beg for alms in the future." The 4 middle-aged men roared at their sons furiously. The 4 young men lowered their heads and didn't dare to say a word. "Let's get back to our country now that all our assets in Dubai are gone. They are all gone." A middle-aged man took out a cigarette and lit it after scolding for some time. Yang Zhe took a deep breath, walked to his father with his head down, and said, "Father, we had not expected him to have an identity like this. If we had known. Father, let me raise the family from here onwards. I can earn money." Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this moment, his phone rang. He was shocked and immediately picked up. Instinctively, he wanted to hang up. However, he immediately accepted the call after seeing that it was a phone call from the director of his company. "Hello, Director Wang. Are you fucking dead now? If not, you should be. Fuck you. Give up your dreams of being a star. You might as well be a ghost in hell. If you let me see you again, I'll kill you." An angry roar came from the other end of the phone call, after which the other party hung up. At this moment, his female companion's phone was shaking constantly. She took out the phone and saw a screenshot her friend had sent her. Heavenly King Media was the largest media company in the country, and Yang Zhe was the next superstar they were focusing on grooming. However, the Heavenly King Media had made an announcement on their public Weibo account just moments ago. Yang Ze met with a mishap overseas and passed away. Let us mourn in memory of him. When she saw the announcement, she was stunned for a full 10 seconds. Chapter 491. In the name of the Fire Goddess 1. Yang Ze was staring blankly at the phone that was hung up while the female star was dumbfounded by the announcement on Weibo. At this time, several other middle-aged men received various calls. In less than 10 seconds, they'd been plunged into despair. What kind of people did you provoke? Raging voices came bellowing one by one. Back in distant China, middle-aged men and old men hung up their phones. Of so many people, why did they have to provoke the Dragon King of Dragon Sect? They're obviously digging their own graves. How dare a few insignificant beings provoke a powerful sacred sect? The current Dragon Sect had already ranked in the top 5 within the country. Such domineering force need not deal with these magnates themselves. All they had to do was to release some news, and those magnates would be completely finished. This was how scary their influence was and the imposing prestige they had for annihilating the Medical Saint sect and Qiao clan. Messing with Dragon Sect was undoubtedly courting their own doom. As a celebrity, the media company had announced the accidental death of Yang Ze straight away while a mourning session was held. The cool breeze filled the night in Dubai while lights brightened the surroundings, bringing relaxing moments. After exiting the business convention, Mu Xiaowan pulled Wang Xian and her mum to have some food outside. Let's go to the supper restaurant operated by my family. You can have as much food as you want. Mu Xiaowan tugged Wang Xian by his arm as she spoke. Great, then I'll eat to my heart's content. Wang Xian chuckled. The business in the supper restaurant used to be good, but business declined after the fire spirit volcano died down, said Mu Xiaowan's mum with an elated expression on her face. She looked at Wang Xian with her curiosity piqued. It was beyond her expectations that her daughter would get to know such a big shot. In the business convention tonight, the prince came to her and had a cordial conversation. He even passed her several projects to handle. All the people around her exhibited envious looks for every project she received. All of them knew that it was because of her cute daughter, who had brought them closer to the royal family. Their path in Dubai would have fewer obstacles in the future. Mu Xiaowan's mother was very grateful to this guy. Seeing her daughter bickering and chatting with him, she would want to bring both of them together, if not for the fact that he might be marrying the princess and her daughter was underage. The fire spirit volcano? The volcano flame will rise again, I guess. It would be nice to have dinner and enjoy the volcano's view from afar. Wang Xian chuckled as he spoke. It's really awesome. A lot of couples like to have their dinner here and take photos. Oh, uncle. Later, I'll get my mum to take a few pictures for us. As the last spoke, they took a car towards the fire spirit volcano. The restaurant was situated at the beach, where the trio sat down and chatted. With the girl livening up the atmosphere, the three of them enjoyed a laid-back time. After their dinner, the lass dragged her mother to the beach to take pictures for them. This posture and this pose. Come on. 1, 2, 3. The lass was screaming with excitement on the beach. Even though it was already 10 p.m., there were many people there, among which most of them were martial artists. A lot of martial artists had not given up on the fire god's graveyard. On the contrary, many martial artists rushed over after hearing the news. But out of the 8 denominations, 5 of them had already given up. The remaining 3 denominations were waiting for their chances. Deity Lady, the entrance of the fire god's graveyard is guarded by the fire demons, and they are the mighty Dan realm fire demons. There should be one budding realm fire demon, which hasn't struck yet, but it felt suffocating just looking at it from afar. When Wang Xian and the lass were taking pictures, they heard a voice. Approximately 50 people were walking towards them from the front. The outfits of these 50 people were even more unusual than the natives. In the center was a lady who was holding a creepy skull, burning in black flames in her hand. Black runes were painted all over her face and parts of the body, which was revealed. Her profile, along with her outlook, looked malevolent under the dim lights. We suffered quite a huge loss this time. If we don't get anything in return, it's totally unacceptable for Nether Flame. This time, we will overturn the entire fire god's graveyard to dig out the treasures in it, said the lady in a hoarse voice. There was fiery heat coming out from her mouth every time she spoke. I heard that the budding realm experts from Fire God Denomination and Heavenly Flame Denomination are here too, another old man by the side exclaimed without any expression. Lord Nether Spirit, only 3 denominations are left. They are not giving up on the fire god's graveyard that easily. Even budding realm experts have arrived today. A voice continued to reply. It's normal for the rest of the denominations to retreat. Fire God's graveyard was simply too dangerous for them. Even if they retrieve the weapons made by Fire God or some treasures, it's of no use to them. Only the denominations of the fire lineage will fight for it at all costs. Another old man who was standing beside the lady looked even more daunting as compared to the lady and Nether Spirit. His entire body was black, but it was not the tone of a black man, but rather a carbon black. It was as though the entire body of the old man had been charred by fire, striking chills to one's spine. Uncle, that bunch of people are strange. Upon seeing the group of people walking towards her, Mu Xiaowan freaked out and hid behind Wang Xian. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows as he watched the crowd. The lady and the other 2 old men at the forefront were not any ordinary people, as they posed a slight danger to him. Mu Xiaowan's mother walked over immediately as she held Xiaowan in her arms while pulling Wang Xian to one side. With astonishment, she watched the bunch of queer people. Are they filming a movie? Asked Mu Xiaowan in a whisper. Not much fuel is left in the Nether Skull, and we still have a battle later on, the lady, holding the creepy skull in both hands, murmured softly. As she carried the skull suddenly rotated by itself as it aimed at a spot on the right. Over there sat a quartet of young men who were watching them with curiosity and discussing among themselves in whispers. When they saw the skull aiming at them, they were horrified as they tried to flee. 2 balls of black flames suddenly darted out from the socket of the skull and hit the 4 young men. Without any screams or shrieks, the quartet vanished into thin air. The black nether flame brought the red-colored liquid back to the skull, while the black skull exuded a devilish vibe. Subsequently, the skull turned, aiming at Wang Xian and the rest. After witnessing what had happened just now, Mu Xiaowan and her mother revealed petrified looks on their faces. There was a change in Wang Xian's expression too. He swung his arms over to shield them as they flitted away. The black nether flame gave chase. With an arm swing, Wang Xian blocked it off with an immense flame. Seeing that the black nether flame was being countered, a strange look flickered in that lady's eyes. Chapter 492. In the name of the fire goddess, too. Wang Xian stared coldly at that lady. As for Mu Xiaowan and her mother, whom Wang Xian had pulled along, all they felt was that they had appeared on the roads all of a sudden. Both of them were still in shock. However, Mu Xiaowan's mother clearly knew a little about martial artists. She quickly took a few deep breaths to calm herself. Rumble. Several luxurious police cars drove over and started cordoning off the area. Deity lady, don't waste precious time on an ant. It's time for us to go. The old man beside the lady said to her while staring at the fire spirit island before them. Interesting. Such a young Dan realm expert. I wonder which denomination he's from. The lady scrutinized Wang Xian from head to toe before hugging the skull in her hands. Her eyes and the skull in her hands flickered in a black glow before she smiled and said, "A pretty good brat." The 2 old men by her side chuckled after seeing how she reacted. An evil and chilling thought reached Wang Xian. Deity lady? A pretty good brat. Wang Xian shivered in chills. With her looks, she looked more like an old hag than a deity lady. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, a group of 50 people flew towards the Fire Spirit Island. From them, one could sense terrifying aura. All unauthorized personnel, please leave this place immediately. We are sealing off this region. If you wish to die, you can remain behind. Cold instructions reverberated while the cops of Dubai put up the seals around the area. Xiaowan, leave with Aunt now. Go home and get as far away as possible. When Wang Xian saw the experts of Nether Flame flying towards the Fire Spirit Island, he immediately said this to her. Uncle, they... At this moment, Mu Xiaowan was still in shock. She was pointing to the sky and mumbling blankly. Let's go, Xiaowan, listen to brother. We've got to leave. Mu Xiaowan's mother was aware that this incident wasn't something she could handle and immediately pulled Xiaowan away. Be good. Go back and rest. Wang Xian patted her head and said with a smile, Oh, all right then. Mu Xiaowan looked at him, nodded her head, and left with her mother. Wang Xian stood there and frowned as he looked in the direction of the Fire Spirit Island. When the police saw him standing there, they didn't pay additional attention. There were still many martial artists that remained, and they weren't people who ordinary cops could handle. All they had to ensure was that the locals were evacuated from the place. All the terrifying existences from the Fire God denomination, Nether Flame and Heavenly Flame denomination are here. They are going to take down the Fire God's graveyard forcefully this time. I heard the deity lady from Nether Flame is here. How incredible is this? Even the deity lady is here. The deity lady is extremely famous in all of Asia. The nether skull in her hands is also a powerful spiritual weapon. There's something strange about Dubai today. In the day, many of them entered the Fire Spirit Island. Could it be that Dubai has gotten some incredible items? Wang Xian walked towards the beach and heard the discussions among various martial artists. Rumble. At this moment, flames that covered 100 zhang rose above the Fire Spirit Island and illuminated and dyed the entire sky red. Dubai has obtained the Fire God's graveyard. Everyone, please leave. Grr. In the air, a soft and crisp voice reverberated. Following this was a terrifying growl. Everyone on the beach could feel a stifling pressure from this growl. What? The uproar yesterday was because of you guys? My nether flame was completely annihilated. It would appear that you guys have controlled the fire demons to kill them. Do you know the price of offending our nether flame? Angry roars erupted, and the martial artists on the beach could see a group of experts hovering in the sky above the Fire Spirit Island. On the volcano, there were over 1,000 fire demons which illuminated the entire Fire Spirit Island. What happened yesterday was at the most critical juncture of obtaining control over the Fire God Palace. The riots of the fire demons had nothing to do with us, and we have no grudge or feud against Nether Flame. That crisp voice reverberated once again. Nonetheless, the losses of our Nether Flame still had something to do with you guys. The coarse voice of the lady resounded. We have no control over the riots of the fire demons. Therefore, we are sorry to the experts from Nether Flame. Our Dubai nation wouldn't want to become enemies with you. If you don't want to, take out sufficient compensation. Are you threatening our Dubai? So what if we are? My Nether Flame suffered grave losses. Since you guys have obtained the Fire God Palace, you have to pay a sufficient compensation. Otherwise, we will have to retrieve the compensation ourselves. Experts from the Fire God denomination and Heavenly Flame denomination, do you guys have the same thoughts? Dubai was founded by a water god. You guys would have no use for the Fire God Palace. Why not give it to us? Haha, all treasures in the world have always been decided by the strong. The conversation in the air disrupted the silent night. Everyone on the beach could hear it clearly. Who would have thought that the treasures have fallen into the hands of Dubai? How surprising! So what if they did? That's the graveyard of a fire god. Those 3 fire attribute denominations won't just let it go. Dubai could only negotiate. A budding realm existence from both the fire god denomination and heavenly flame denomination are here. I just wonder how many came from the nether flame? Since Dubai lost the holy water scripture a few hundred years ago, the last budding realm expert has passed away. There's no budding realm expert left in Dubai, and they aren't a match for the 3 denominations. They are going to just admit their defeat. A few martial artists were discussing. In that case, we could only fight. Grr, get out of our territory, or all of you will die here. The crisp voice followed by the roar of a beast erupted. The next instant, one could clearly feel that the temperature around Fire Spirit Island had gone up by several hundred degrees. A heat wave was formed over the sea. Insolent fool! How can a small Dubai possibly be a match for us? The coarse voice became a little sharp. A skull was emitting a dull glow. It was extremely dazzling within the light from the fire. They are going to fight. Oh gosh! A battle between budding realm experts. A battle that could destroy heaven and earth. Is Dubai courting death? The martial artists on the beach were astonished as they continued staring in the direction of the Fire Spirit Island. Grr! A huge and invincible figure jumped into the air and attacked the 3 denominations immediately. The terrifying aura sent chills down the spine of everyone. Fuck! Snatching my items? When Wang Xian saw the battle erupting over Fire Spirit Island, his turned gloomy. He jumped and flew towards the Fire Spirit Island directly. What is he doing? Courting his own death? Why is he even thinking of participating in a war like this? When the people on the beach saw Wang Xian flying over, they were shocked. Wang Xian was emotionless. It was as though he was moving instantaneously as he covered a distance of several thousand meters in an instant. This isn't right. Why do you from Dubai know how to use fire attributes attacks? Could it be you've inherited the legacy of the fire god? An exclamation broke out from the deity lady from Nether Flame. In the air, all the experts stared at Ajaya, who was standing on the Fire Spirit Island. If you guys aren't leaving, don't blame me for not being courteous. On Ajaya, bright red flames were burning. She held a truncheon in her hands, one that belonged to the fire god.